The time is now.
NUFC Early Night News with Gary the Geordie Yam Yam and Derek the Mighty Win. Weekdays from 8 p.m. UK, 2 p.m. USA. NUFC Talk.
Hey.
Myself, Geordie Yam Yam, we've got the Mighty Win, we've got Boki, and we've got Gaza, the Gaza Morn, under the hat, under the cosh, with us tonight on the panel.
Want to get ahead? Get a hat.
If you're going to get ahead, get a hat. So the first thing I want to do, if I'm honest with you, is I want to apologise to the Mighty Win. Why we're live? Because I let this lad down this morning. I suffer with a condition called fibromyalgia, and I struggled somewhat this morning to actually get my head off a pillow. And this lad flew solo, and I must admit he did a cracking job. So well done, matey, and my almost apologies for letting you down last minute. But I must admit you did a cracking job.
That's not what you said in the Times, Gary.
They couldn't afford him, guys. Anyway, let's get on with the housework and then we'll crack on with the show. Welcome to everybody across all of the platforms. Thanks to everybody that works in the background. Do a great job. Don't forget, people out there in viewerland, smash that like button for us. It certainly helps us get further as a channel to other supporters. Subscribe. It's totally free. Smash that bell button for future content. You'll get the 30-minute reminder when we're going live. Always live, never edited. If you want to help us grow, then you can become a member. There's only one level to look at, so if you want it, go get it. It certainly helps us out massively. If you've got a question during the show for anybody in the panel, then try and highlight it with a Q in front of that question. It ain't guaranteed to be mentioned, but it just helps us out. Look at it in the chat. Like I said, there's lots of people in the chat these days. But if you do want to guarantee it, then you can follow the $, get the instructions, and then throw us a Talk TV super chat. Anybody that becomes a member during the show, or any of our fabulous members out there that gift them, will be highlighted and thanked. And if you want to, don't forget there's still time to join us for the £5 entry fee in the participation in the Prediction League. If you obviously get the top 6, you get a prize. The top 4 get a cash prize. 5th and 6th get a prezi to higher the value of your obviously entry fee. So you can still do that, and like I say, there's still plenty of games for you guys to catch up there.
Hopefully plenty and plenty and plenty.
Yeah, plenty indeed. I hope you guys are well. What we're going to do tonight, I know you guys are going to struggle to see that behind me to a degree, but behind me I have got, if I move my head, virtually carrying on from the conversations that's been happening from yesterday all the way through, and people are going to say it's a bit repeated, but it's not, because I also want to add on, because you guys was talking this morning during pre and post presser. There was some comments coming in from the viewers talking about like the academy. Eddie Howe's not giving the young lads a run of the mill. And comments were being thrown backwards and forwards. So I thought it was, obviously Chris is going to be coming on at 9:30 and continuing all the updated news. And there's a couple of interesting points, I must admit. I don't know whether you guys have seen this. And I just wanted to start before we get into the nuts and crannies, if you like. We've got, I was a bit perplexed, I think is the word. Elliot Anderson, if Newcastle want him back, 120 million.
Click.
No chance. He's not worth 120 million. He's good. He's doing a grand job at Notts Forest.
I think the headline, the clickbait was Newcastle. What was it? Waste 3 times Elliot Anderson's value or something
On the Chronicle.
Where did this actually come from, though, Gary?
Well, I mean, I've read it in the Chronicle, and I'm like, what? Where? Well, according to it,
the thing is, in the very same article, it says he's being quoted at 100 million.
Release clause, though, isn't it?
120 million.
Well, come on, we know how it goes. It's just, it's got us talking about them, so that's it. Mission accomplished.
Yeah, I agree with you, but apparently, and again, I don't know. I haven't looked at the Nottingham newspapers, but according to Form, they have made that stipulation. Is the fact that they will not let him go for anything less than 100 million, and they're looking at 120 million. That's a Nottingham Forest thing, not a Chronicle thing.
Right. Is that an official statement from the club?
Well, I don't know whether that's true, but I've just had something come up saying,
yeah, they're saying they wouldn't let. Look, he's contracted until 2029, so
yeah, absolutely.
They can ask for whatever they like. Whether they get it or not is another matter.
This is part of the problem when Wynn's saying swap Miley for, I can't remember the other midfielder's name. When he's saying do a swap deal.
No, I'm not saying do a swap deal.
Not a swap deal, a player plus cash deal. The problem is when your player becomes better, you're then having to pay a massive fee to get them back if you want to bring them back to the hometown club.
Indeed.
See, the problem with this is it puts you in a position as an individual, or a pundit, or whatever, or just a person with an opinion who's looking at it, is that you then are put in a position where you're deciding whether he's actually worth it or not, and you've got no right to do that. You can't turn around and say he's worth 100 million or 120 million, anything like that, right? But it's how things are going to escalate. Money is getting higher and higher and higher all the time, but it's all just silly rubbish, really. I mean, it's almost getting like Monopoly, isn't it, in a way?
It is, but there you go.
Everybody keeps on saying it can't keep on going up. It can't keep on going up. When Shearer went for 15 million, it was what?
Trevor Francis, £1 million player.
Well, you can go back. Of course, you can.
Absolutely. But I mean, there you go. Florian Plattenberg, thanks, Connor, because like I say, Connor's just said to me it started here. And apparently it's been on Sky. That's been reported that obviously Manchester United are very keen on him. Newcastle have been monitoring him closely, as you can see. And there's also European interest as well. Everybody's taking a little bit of a keen eye.
Real Madrid, apparently.
Well, I mean, Forest are aware, key player, understand for a transfer in the summer, a fee of around 100 to 120. But there is no release clause with this guy. So at the end of the day, it could be a case of he'll have to do a rat to get out of Nottingham Forest.
I think that he'll go to Man United, and I think it would do him good.
Really?
Yep, I think that they're going to actually. I think the Amarim's going to turn them round. And not only that, they've got the financial clout and the financial backing to dig themselves out of this hole that they've been in. And if they're putting in, players of the quality of Ubermo and then Elliot Anderson, I think it only bodes well for them. And I think it's a team and a club that he's done Newcastle, right? And you've got to look at it personally, right? His boyhood club, he loved them, and they sold him. And no matter how much, you love the club, at the end of the day is the club you loved sold you. And I don't know how I'd feel about that,
Well, the only thing about that, Gary, is that he completely understands that they sold him to get out of a hole.
That's true. But at the same time,
and that was why he was prepared. I mean, both him and Minty.
It's still got to hurt, mate.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think his ties with his granddad and everything will stand us in good stead if I've ever wanted to get him back.
I'd like to see him back, but I don't know. Well, yes, I would love to see him back because I think he's twice the player he was at left.
Well, so, that's it, and he wouldn't have been twice the player had he not left. And I think the same could happen to Miley.
Exactly.
Do you think this
is? He's just getting better by the week. That kid. I watched him against Fulham. He's strolling around the pitch like he's playing with a bunch of kids. You know, he's astonishing me, Miley. He really is. I'm gobsmacked every time I watch him. I can't believe the improvement, just game on game, that is coming from him.
I didn't think it was very impressive against Fulham. I thought he was good against Benfica, but I didn't think he was very good against Fulham. He was invisible, I thought.
Do you think
he wasn't. I'll tell you, watch the game again. He wasn't. He was.
I've watched it 4 times.
He just was in the middle of the park there, and he just had everything under control.
What were you saying? What were you wanting to say, Bogey?
Do you think this could be one of the biggest issues to come out with not having a proper structure in the club at the start of the window? Is maybe the Elliot Anderson scenario? Because surely the amount that was sold him for, which was next to nothing, we could have got a release clause in there at 50, 60 million pounds. And I don't think Nottingham Forest would particularly have argued with that at that point from where he was. But it just seems that with transfer deal, and this is not having to go with anybody at the club, this is having to go with the fact that we didn't have the right structure in place to sell players. We've left ourselves vulnerable to, obviously, if we want to bring a player back, not having the correct clauses and things in place to do that.
Bogey, I think at the time, mate, I don't think we were in much of a bargain. We had much of a bargain.
That was the trouble. But that was what Amanda had left us in, unfortunately.
But I'm saying if you put it 50 or 60 million pound release clause in that contract at that time,
it probably would have.
Forest would have thought it was.
Probably would have been in if they could have done it. But I think Newcastle basically were, they were cutting.
Eddie Howe was very loath to sell him.
Well, it was mentioned during the time where both Minty and Anderson were at Nottingham in a hotel, waiting for what direction to go in. And apparently, the reasons why there was such a delay and it took virtually the 11th hour to get the deal done, because there were mentions of a release clause, there were mentions of buyback clauses and everything else, and Forest just turned their heads because at the time, we were in a pickle.
But Forest were as well. Forest were in the same pickle. They had to do the deal the other way.
They did. I'm not saying they didn't, but they wanted something. At the end of the day, you've got to realise what we've taken away from Nottingham compared to what we've given them regarding player-wise. Is it value for money?
It's not value for money. We know that.
And at the minute, what we've seen from Anderson in his season there has been outstanding. What we've seen from a keeper and a winger at the minute doesn't fly. It doesn't fly many flags, does it? And I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm sure Elanga will come true. We just need it to start happening. I think he's had long enough to settle in now, and I don't know what it is that's stopping him to produce the goods for Newcastle as he did for Forest, apart from a change in system. I mean, don't get me wrong. A lot of people haven't really realised how good that interception was that set up Elanga's shot. Because if it wasn't for Asula's shot. Because if it wasn't Elanga, that
was from a bad ball by Tonali, by the way.
Well, it was a ball that went from Bassi because it was Bassi's two mistakes that actually.
Yeah. It was Tonali that gave Bassi the ball.
Yeah.
I think that I'll see parallels here with God. Who's I forgot his name. Who scored 2 goals the other night? Super sub.
Barnes.
Barnes.
Barnes. Sorry, I'm getting old, I'm getting old. And I'll say parallels with that because Barnes came in, right, and he was the bee's knees when he was at Leicester, and then he joined us, and it was pretty quiet, slow start, and the same's happening with Elanga, and I think maybe it is a little bit of Eddie wants them to play in a particular fashion, rather than them just. I've said this before. Barnes is all about being wide, hitting the ball in, getting on his bike and getting the through ball behind the defence. It's what he did at Leicester and why he was so successful. And Elanga's he likes a ball to run onto, Elanga. A bit like Isak was as a striker. He liked can't remember when Isak was a striker.
No.
The rat.
And
Michael.
so therefore, maybe it is just a period of adjustment, and people get on their backs, or he's not playing this well, he's not playing that well, blah blah. But they don't know what's going on behind the scenes, And Eddie has some, he's got plans for them, and
but that's what I was going to ask you, though, guys. I mean, you made a comparison to Harvey Barnes.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I used to go with a season ticket holder to see Harvey Barnes, and I've said this story a number of times, and he was the most frustrating player for the home fans that went week in, week out, because he'd have high notes and low notes. I mean, the one thing that we saw when Harvey Barnes and Leicester won the league was he was on the TV a lot of the time. So you see, highlights. You never see the low lights of players. And I think that is the problem. And I think, and this isn't me being detrimental towards Eddie Howe's scouting team. I think they sort of player potentially that could be an adjustment, a variety player, somebody who could go from left to right hand side and create and do something, because that's what he's done through his career. I mean, at the Albion, he played on the right hand side, coming into the 10. Leicester, he was very much on the left hand side. And apologies, I'm sucking a sweet, so it may sound a little bit strange at times.
If you remember the time, Gary, wasn't there a little bit of thinking that he might have been a support and not replacement, but backup for Gordon, and he was seen as that. But I mean, the thing is, the two of them are like chalk and cheese as players. So I don't see where Barnes isn't an out and out left winger. He's he can play that role, but his game's far more complex than that. And his goals. If you go back to Leicester and watch all his goals, I mean, he scored some absolutely screamers, and his game was all about cutting in and taking the defence out, and he done it like when he did against West Ham, for us, and that's his strength. That's his game, getting that ball on his right foot, and it doesn't matter how far out he is, he can whack the ball from 30 yards if he wants to.
I mean, he scored some crackers for us as well. I mean, he's got us out the mire more than once. I just want to say a massive shout out to Michael McIntyre for his £20. It's just a super sticker, but thank you ever so much, Michael, for that contribution. I'm watching it on the screen now. It's a pear-shaped shouting goal. So there you go. Thanks, Michael. Yeah, I mean, I understand you. And the problem what I noticed with Harvey Barnes is he has to be involved. The longer you leave Harvey Barnes away from the setup, again, he's a thinker. And like I said, when you saw Harvey play in different positions, sometimes out on the right-hand side, because we are very much left-heavy dominated when we're pressing, he's out of play a lot. So he disappears. He doesn't like to get involved. Where what you get from Murphy, he'll come and play on the inside right position. He's closer to the game. He gets involved. He's always looking to get in behind. You don't always see that with Harvey Barnes playing on the right-hand side. When Eddie Howe tinkered with the setup and he played him in a more of a narrow setup where he played both him and I think it was Gordon on the inside. You saw a different player because, like I say, he's involved a lot more just in that high eight position.
Yeah.
So he's very versatile, and I think that's what Eddie Howe sees in him more than anything else. He's got a player. If asked, he'll go and play anywhere. The problem is, unless his head is at the right time, he's very much like Wurzel Gummidge to me. Depends on what head he's got on his shoulders at the time.
I think he's more of a goal scorer than he is a winger and a provider. But
I think he's more of a bench player, to be honest. I think he's a player that can come off the bench.
He's a super sub.
He's a super sub, and there's nothing wrong with being that sort of player. But I don't think he's a starter. You very rarely see him have a good game from the start. Whereas if he comes on at the 60, 65 minute mark, that some managers like to bring
He's had
players
some
on.
fantastic
He has
games. Yeah,
fantastic
that's right.
games.
And I can't think of a single game that he started and had a cracking game. You know, and I'm including the Wembley final there. That he just doesn't seem to do it when he starts, but when he comes on from the bench, he's had an effect on numerous occasions.
Yeah.
Can I just say that Becca there? She's put a comment in. Becca, it's just a floating head. That's all I am.
He's getting ready for Halloween.
There's no body here. It's just a head floating in the room.
Or he's fell over and he's pushed his head through the back of the chair, and his body and his legs are just sticking out the back end.
Somebody got their hand through the back.
Oh, be careful. Right then, so first question, I suppose we can go into this. And like I said, if you look at what should Eddie Howe prioritise, you were talking, and the lads, if you've not seen it, there's a new trio started with the channel. You've seen Jamie. Who was the other two? I forgot the names of them now.
We had Hutch and Simon.
Yeah, the lads have done the first show, and they were talking about whether they should totally forget the cup against Spurs tomorrow, or should it be competed for? So I wanted to go on from that, and I also wanted to go on from, as I said before, what was discussed earlier on, because there was a comment coming from one of the viewers about the academy. And you were quite right in saying, because obviously somebody then said, look about Fergie and Fergie's setup. And what you said was, the academies today are cash cows.
That's it, the footballer factories.
Yeah, and they are cash cows. And for the big clubs, I totally agree with you. For the Chelseas, the Man Cities, who have had time to build and grow their infrastructure. But I think what Newcastle
funds to do it.
I think what Newcastle have got to be careful of doing now is Harviel it over and over and over again, because you cannot afford to keep giving young lads like Harvey Elliott, who's got lots of years.
Anderson.
Sorry, Harvey Elliott. I keep saying bloody Harvey Elliott. Bloody Liverpool. Elliott Anderson, yeah. Because if you, I don't know whether you guys are aware, but there's 6 academy players that are set to be let go already this summer. Alfie Harrison's one of them, and we've paid 3 million quid for him. Travis Hearns, Trevin Sanusi are the most high-profile ones that are looking to be moved on. Now, for me, it's a case of, are the people getting these youngsters in, and again, we go back to where it all started a couple of years ago. Have we got the right bodies at the right time, bringing the right players in to suit this system? And what the reasons why I've branched into that is, somebody in the chat there has just talked about Elanga. We've all said Elanga needs time. Does Eddie Howe have to strip back the player that's come into the club to get him to play the Eddie Howe system?
Eddie Howe has to give the lads a chance. That's the big thing. Instead of putting 2 keepers on the benches at times, or putting old players on the bench, Lascelles on the bench, example for times. Bring a youngster through. And even if they don't get on the team, get them into the squad and get them integrated into being in a Premier League squad. And they might never ever make it. They might be on the bench 1 or 2 times. But if we're 2 or 3-0 up and there's a chance to bring them on, and let's see how they do. But
Thing is,
Eddie's very reluctant to do that. Very, very reluctant.
your words, your choice of words there, Gary, though, right? When you say strip back, right, it makes it sound like a very negative thing, right? Now, the thing is, these kids, maybe they didn't mean it like that, but it just did, that's how I perceived it. Is it because, like, it means strip back, like, correct us if I'm wrong, but I thought it's almost like you're taking something away from them to mold them into something else. But if they're of an age, right, that Eddie can take them and mold them into the system, which is what your question was, and so that makes perfect sense. I don't think they have to strip. I don't think he has to strip anything back. What he does is he sees their potential, he sees their strengths, and then if obviously he's a football manager, and so you develop that, and you develop the strengths, and you develop their natural ability. Because you can't just get them to play like robots. So you have, there has to be that human element in it. But I wouldn't say strip. I don't think so. It's strip back. You just bring them on, and then and I think it's a good idea if you bring these people through, and they do end up being commodities that you sell off for a profit. Well, isn't that what everybody else does?
But Gary, how many players has Eddie actually brought through? I suppose is a big question.
Not many, but he hasn't. He's
Yeah.
but he's only been there 3.5 years. Give him a chance.
And bear in mind, the academy that Eddie inherited was
Wasn't an academy.
non-existent.
That's right. The academy at the time when he joined was that kid who plays the Dire Straits song outside on the guitar.
But 3.5 years is still a canny old time. And we have got good players in the youth team, but you've got to give them a chance. And at the minute, they're not getting that chance at all.
I think if you were going to utilise the youth, you'd have utilised the youth before the bringing in of the players in the summer.
But Bogey, what chance then? All right, then you're saying they're not getting a chance, so give them the chance. What would your chance be? There's your chance. Take it. So
my chance would be not have 2 keepers. As I repeat myself, but don't have 2 keepers on the bench, and don't have players like Lascelles on the bench, who serves really no purpose for the club now. He might be great in the dressing room. That's brilliant. Put him through as a coach, but don't have him wasting the space on a bench. I could go to a young lad who could play, who could have a.
True enough, but Eddie likes to err on the side of caution when it comes to younguns. He likes to know that they're ready to step in.
I think the problem is that the squadron of youngsters that we've brought in by dint of fate, because all of your best youngsters are hoovered up by the established, academies that can turn round, even if they turn round to a player and say, you might not make it to our first team, but you'll definitely make it somewhere else. And they'll sell them on, which they've done countless times. Which is it's one of the reasons that they've got the money to invest. As I said this morning, what they do is they produce all of these and they sell half a dozen players for 10, 15, 20 million pound a piece. 50 million in the case of Cole Palmer, 40 million in the case of Livramento when they were there. And they use that money, they use those 6 amounts to buy one first-team ready player from somewhere else.
So, well, that's the way to do it.
But that's deflecting from the point that we're making. It isn't what other clubs do. What we're saying is youngsters here don't have any chance at the minute of getting through to the first team under Eddie Howe. Eddie
But
Howe
I think
will
there's
not
a
Well,
give-
they've got to
will
prove they're
not
good
give
enough.
youngsters a chance.
Don't you think, though, that our club's a bit unique in that respect, Borgie, because we're coming to it almost new. We're having to start from scratch. We're having to build from the ground up, right? Where these clubs had massive injections of
You know,
cash.
they were buying
thrown at
they were
them,
buying 10 and 12-year-olds
right?
20 year, you know, 10
would-
years,
and-
15
and
years ago.
would
They
deflect
could do it. They could all overnight. They could put in an academy that had 60 players in it.
I've got no issue. I've got no issue that we haven't got the best academy, and I completely agree with you on that. The issue that you're deflecting away from is Eddie has not. There have been some players in the youth in the under 21s that deserve to come through to the Premier League team. Or sorry, the
He's done it.
first team.
Oh,
and
he's done it. He's done it with Miley, and he's
give-
done it with Anderson.
Give them a chance, but Eddie's very, very reluctant to do that. He
Yeah,
just does not. He does not bring youth players.
Yeah.
through.
I will bow to Gary's superior knowledge because he watches far more of the under 21s than I do. But am I right? You know, correct me if I'm wrong, of course. But what you are saying is that for a player to make it and be effective in the first team, you've got to really shine at under 21 level. If you are not shining at under 21 level, you ain't going to make that jump. I'm paraphrasing you there, but is that about right, Gary? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, it's common knowledge now. Players that are hitting the limelight, if you like, at their own age group, either get moved on to the, if they're 15-year-olds, they'll get moved on onto the under 18s. Any 16, 17-year-olds will get moved on to the under 21s. And Newcastle are starting to do that because the one thing that you have to start looking at is being what they call first team ready. And that's not just being, a good footballer. It's the physicality of it. It's the mental effort and effect it has on, a young lad, the stresses and strains that it brings in. And for me, it's players that shine in their own age groups that will always look to be moved on. And it is starting to appear. And there's a point to me, we can say that we've bought through Miley and we've bought through Elliot Anderson, and we are very new to this academy. And you can see that there's lots of youngsters in there that have got a massive future. But is that with Newcastle in the Premier League? I'm not sure at this present moment in time, because on any particular game that I've watched, and unfortunately there ain't that many games that are live. I mean, you can, you drop through them, and there's a few. There's one or two that you can catch. But from what you can read about them, there's potentially maybe 3. But to me, jumping up to the next level isn't about actually making an appearance sometimes. It's about being involved in the first team. Now, involved in training is one thing. Involved in match day scenarios is totally another. And that's what Eddie fails in my opinion. Because there's no reason, as Boki said, to have two goalkeepers on the bench. No reason whatsoever. Because all you're doing is slamming the doors on anybody else coming through to our academy. And you've got to understand, right? It is Miley and Anderson that have opened the doors to a lot of these boys choosing Newcastle rather than the Man Cities, the Chelseas, and everybody else that are coming through for them, because they can see academy players playing in the first team. That's 2 of a very, very small list, isn't it, when you think about it? And up to yet, all of these boys that Newcastle have signed haven't really had a look in. I mean, everybody was asking about Kowal. What's happened to Kowal? Well, that's what I'm saying. These boys are coming into a system, and that's why I said about stripping back the player that they've bought in. And it does affect them. It does affect them because Eddie Howe wants them to play away, and it's got to be the way that he sees fit. It's not about another cracking player, Hyok, at Spurs, a really, really talented young lad.
And Foxy's saying he's miles ahead of Park Sung-soo.
Yeah,
but he's still nowhere near Premier
first team ready. No, he's nowhere near first team ready.
He's on loan doing okay with Pompey.
Yeah, exactly.
Just do England first.
Can I just
and that's what they need to do.
My argument wasn't to chuck these young lads in the first team. My argument was put them on the bench and get them into a squad, the first team squad, and see how they develop.
Well, I've already gone on record now as saying the next time I see two keepers on the bench, it'll be a big giant step towards joining your camp with regard to Eddie, because there's absolutely no reason whatever why there should be two keepers on the bench.
Borgie, they do actually get quite a bit of time. The young uns do get quite a bit of time training with the first team, just to wet them. And so
Harrison Ashby's been seen now training with the first team because obviously, he's just come back from an injury. So he's been moved up to play. But again, when you look at it, and we saw Harrison Ashby in a pre-season game, he was playing out of position. But is he really at the point of being involved in the Premier League?
I think it is, because I've watched him. Well, I watched him a couple of games pre-season after he'd come back from loan, and I think he looks about ready. I reckon you could drop him in. I'd like to see him actually play at right back.
The biggest problem with Harrison Ashby, though, he's very much in the same mould as your Mileys, your Brunos, where he hasn't got that pace of, that recovery pace. So if you're looking at a fullback, he's got the stature, but he certainly hasn't got that recovery pace. If the ball gets in and behind them, he's always going to be reliant. And I think that is one of the reasons why Eddie decided in the pre-season to throw him right of centre.
Midfield,
because he just hasn't got that recovery.
Is he only right-footed, or has he got a left foot as well?
No, he's only right-footed.
I was just thinking of another full-back he could cover for.
Oh!
When I saw him, he had 2 feet, Bogey, mind?
He's got to stand on one, hasn't he, before he kicks the ball.
Over if he only had the one.
Yeah, exactly. Yanu's got a question here. If Trips picks up an injury, do you think Kraft would be drafted in? Of course he would, but he'd be coming in having had 0 minutes. And that's my point. We are expecting players that are having few minutes to come in and hit the ground running, and to me, that is criminal. Because and I have to put this as a big X simply because it's expectations of us as fans paying good money for one, but actually wanting to be entertained, and the anticipation from the players going on and the mental stress that they're under to actually perform. I don't think they are mentally ready for games, never mind physically ready.
I'd have no qualms putting in Kraft at right back, because even when he's come in at centre back, he's done a great job. And he's such a reliable player, and he understands the way the team works. He's excellent at bombing down the wing, and doing the overlaps and overloading down the right. And I would have. I can't.
I would have no objection to Kraft coming in either.
You know what? I think we're going to have 3 years. I completely agree with that. But the problem is, you have to do rotation to do that.
Him
very reluctant to rotate.
Alleviated the.
I think you may get a shock tomorrow night.
Well, I think Crafty will be in.
I think Kraft will be in tomorrow night.
But Foxy's just said there, look, Harrison Ashby was tragic in the Championship, which he was, playing in the level below. It would be an almighty turnaround if he plays for us on a regular basis. I'd be surprised to see him at the club still next summer. And I must admit, I agree. He certainly doesn't look a Premier League proven player to me.
And then see if he is. If he doesn't cut the mustard, then
Yeah, but that's what we're asking for, guys, isn't it? You know,
Exactly.
how are we going to see these lads
Put them in.
ability wise unless Eddie Howe is willing to show them? You know, and we can all sit here and say, you know, this lad plays well, this lad plays well. Any lad can play well at the level, you know, junior level, but it's can they actually step up to the next level? And we've seen Rio at Liverpool, we've seen Downey at Arsenal. You know, 15-year-old kids not actually, you know, stepping up, but being better than some of the lads on the field already. I certainly think that is it Downman at Arsenal?
Yeah.
He is potentially an in England superstar already. In the making, but again, he's got to be managed correctly.
Well, NT Lou's agreeing with me. They're not good enough. It's as simple as that. Look at what happened when we put a number of them in the friendlies. They got thrashed, and it's down to the academy, which has not been used and built up.
But if you're going to put them in 3 or 4, if you're going to put 3 or 4 of them in at once, yeah, that's a recipe for disaster.
Absolutely.
And
which is my point exactly.
But when nobody's sitting here saying to put 3 or 4 youngsters into the team, what we're saying is put 1 or 2 of them onto the bench and integrate them into the first team and see how they get along.
No, well,
nobody's saying just put youngsters into the team.
That last comment that Wynne mentioned, though, somebody had said, you know, that they're just not good enough. But the thing is, you got to put them in. You can't put 4 of them. Who said it? That they were a disaster and they got whitewashed. But you don't put 5 academy players in the team and then expect them to go out and play like the first team, you know. So
yeah, but you can't also look at. You can't look at us in Japan when we put the second string, you know, the kids out against the Japanese men's side. You can't. So, sorry, Australia, not Japan. In Australia, when we were in, and we had an amalgamation of teams. It was like I said, players playing out of position just to make 2 11s to try and get minutes in legs. Rather than doing what we did in Australia, and that's just put a kids' team out there. What Eddie Howe decided to do was amalgamate teams, if you like, to get 2 different 11s. And it give everybody minutes. But you can't look at those 2 games and say they're rubbish because, again, it's an amalgamation of a team and nobody will shine.
But they're getting the wrong minutes as well. What you want is you want them playing to their strengths, and you want to make it as easy for them as possible. So what you should do is support them with a structure around them, where like what happened with Miley in the first team, where you put him in and you've got him in there with, you know, good.
But again, bear in mind the only reason Miley got his start was because we were absolutely crippled by injury at the time.
But when the reason why isn't the point. It's the fact that you put how you put them in and bed them in, right? And I'm just referring to the fact that if you're going to put like 4 of them in and then expect them to play like the first team, take on Chelsea, well, they're going to get slaughtered, you know. So therefore, you got to be wise about it and sensible about it to an extent. You can't just expect these kids. They might be playing great at under 19 level and under 21 level, but
the point is that they're not playing great at under 19 or under 21 level.
Well, some of them are. Some of them are. And they've got potential. They've got potential.
I think what people forget is, you know, everybody's looking at results here. You know, the thing with academies is it's not a result-driven industry. Academies is individualities. So when kids come through, they have to play for themselves and work themselves into a system. And that's why I said before, it's about sometimes, you know, when we look at players, I mean, I've just seen this one come through from Connor saying Leicester City are reporting Newcastle are in pole position to sign a young 16-year-old winger, Jeremy Monga, having overtaken Man U and Man City and Chelsea for this starlet. And the problem is, you know, when you look at, and this is where I get a little bit question mark, because underneath that, Connor's said exactly what I was going to say. When these lads can't get a loan deal, right? in a championship team, then you know that they're nowhere near Premier League ready. If they can get down, just step down one league, then there's every opportunity the next season they can come and start pecking or knocking on the door of Eddie Howe and saying, when am I going to get my opportunity? Just to come and get involved. And I think that is where we are at the moment. We are in that void of players that are very young, to be fair. We've got a lot of good 15-year-olds coming through that aren't nowhere near, I'm going to say, being ready for Eddie Howe. We haven't got the Dowmans and we haven't got the Rios
Let me
in
ask
our
you a
squad.
question then, right? Because this actually goes slightly against what you're saying. It's not an argument, and I'm not trying to discredit what you're saying. But this young Korean kid that we got, right, who looks a bit tasty, to say the least. He got a few minutes and a couple of appearances in the first team. Now, would you, rather than send him back into where he's went, right, which is virtual obscurity, would you have kept him on the fringes of the first team?
But he got injured.
He is still at the first. He's still on the fringe of the first team.
Is he?
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Right.
he's just come back from injury.
Right,
He got
well,
injured.
my
after the
ignorance.
pre-season. He got injured after the pre-season, and he's just come back. And his last two games, he's played really well.
Yeah.
Right,
I
okay,
think
then. I
he's
wasn't aware of
he's
that.
about the nearest that we've got to being, for me, first team ready.
And I think, again, looking at Foxy stuff, because, again, Foxy knows a lot of the young uns in and around. And you've only got to look at this tournament, the UEFA tournament, to realise how far our lads are away from the European lads of the same age group. We are like chalk and cheese at the minute, but we are still very new, and I think we forget where we are. But I have a tendency to agree with what Bowkey was saying now. Again, it's not about introducing them into a 11. It's introducing them into a system, into a squad, get them match ready mentally, sitting them on the bench, getting used to what it's like on a match day. I mean, I know the kids sit in the stadium and stuff like that when there's games on, if they haven't got a match. But it's not the same.
We got these like whiz kids, cool, and people like that, right? And there was about 3 or 4 of them all happened round about the same time. And then when we got them, instead of embracing them and having them in the club, they was just immediately farmed out on loan, right, to go and play in a foreign league, blah blah blah. And so do you think that there might be error in that method? And we should have actually hung on to them here and got them.
But they're not nurturing anything though, Gaz, are they? If they sit here and play at the same level week in, week out, you're not testing them. So how are they going to be Premier League ready?
Well, I don't know. I don't know.
So and that's it. You see, when you look at other teams and you look at Chelsea now, if memory serves me right, and I don't know the actual fact. I say memory serves me right. I don't know the exact numbers, but I believe in one season they had 27 players from their academy out on loan.
37 on loan.
37 on loan.
Yeah.
Right. So we can't get our players. And like I said, we've got the young Harrison Ashby had got out to the championship, didn't do very, very good at all.
No, the loan system, as we've all said, needs a complete, utter rethink.
Well, it needs Shola gone, doesn't it? It needs somebody proper
absolutely.
put in there. Can I just pick up on a quick chat that I read that made us laugh a little bit from Becca D? She said, 3 certainties in life: death, taxes, Bogey and win disagreeing.
and the same Becca D, I thought this is the one you were going to say. My dad blames Keegan for the downfall of our academy. I'm a bit too young to know if that's true. Well, what Keegan did was he disbanded the reserves. And at the time, I was absolutely all for it. I says, if you want to be a big club, you do even what big clubs today are doing. You know, when was the last time a Chelsea kid came through the academy into the Chelsea team? When was the last time a Man City player came through into the first team? You can argue, you know, as soon as they get through, they get sold.
I think, though, Win as well, there's one thing that people haven't got in their heads yet, right? Because of our situation, which is different to everybody's who just got windfalls and cash loads of money dropped in their laps, right? There you go. Go and be successful. You know who I'm talking about.
Mhm.
Things for us now, right? People have to realize things are going to just take longer, right? Because of the restrictions on our club, it's going to take twice as long, maybe even 3 times as long for us to do what it would take somebody else, like your Man
City and Chelsea did.
who can just do it, you know, on a whim, where we have to work at it, we have to structure it. You know, it's really unfair. It's crippling, but that's the way we have to work. And I actually think that the club and Eddie, the management and the coaching team and everybody involved in it are doing a great job. They're doing a cracking job because you can see progress. All the time you can see progress. It mightn't be at a speed that to most people's likings, but you can't just turn it round overnight, you know. But this is where me and you get called happy clappers, Win, right? But you've got to be positive about it. You look back just a few years and then look at where we are now, and it's just getting better and better and stronger and stronger. Each position now, if you look in the team, each position is getting stronger and stronger. We've got the support now. You know, if one person's injured, we've got a good quality player who can come in and cover it. No, we didn't have that even like last season. We didn't have that. We got it now, right? So therefore, you know, people need just to realise that we just, you know, as Newcastle fans, we're just going to have to be patient. It'll happen. We all know it's going to happen as long as we've got the same owners and the same structure, and you know, and Eddie, please, Eddie. Then I think it'll happen. It will happen. It may take a bit longer, you know, than most people would be happy with, but do they want it or not? You know, are they prepared to wait? Then be patient and let the club and let the team and you know.
Yeah, but as they would argue, and far be it from me to take up a non-happy clapping stance, but that still doesn't take away their right to have concerns on various issues. And one of the issues.
I never intimated that at all.
And one of the issues is that Eddie is so reluctant to introduce youngsters onto the bench. I think that's the point that this is all been about.
He is very careful about it.
Gary, you raised a good point there that Wins said the same as well, that we have brought in better players for the bench, and we have got players now that can come in to cover players. But you're really reluctant to tell. No, but you're really reluctant when I'm sitting here saying, well, fine, that's great. Rotate them then. Give players a chance and rotate the senior players around so that we don't get into late in the season. You've had
Mourinho said it, didn't he? He says luxury. Barnes coming off the bench is luxury. And then the last game, you know, who would have ever thought we brought Tonali off the bench? That was like, I was at Highbury one time, right? And we were getting beat 4-0. Absolutely humiliated. I don't think, we might have had the ball in Arsenal's half twice. And right, and it was like, and an hour into the game, and we were getting absolutely slaughtered. And Bobby Robson brought on a triple sub. Remember, he used to do his triple substitutions, and he brought the 3 on. And me and my mate was standing up opposite the bench, and we're looking over the field, and who's he bringing on? Who's right? We didn't even recognise 2 of them. Going, who's that? Who's that? And then it was, that's right. That's that Lua, the one in the middle, right? Okay, then. So he brought the 3 on, right? And Arsenal were just cruising it to 4, as I say, 4-0. And then 5 minutes later, right? This is how far we've come, right, to where we are now. Take this on board. Wenger comes out the dugout, right, and he's going to make a substitution, right? You know who the sub was, and 4-0 up? Dennis Bergkamp. I mean, Jesus Christ, 4-0 up, and you're bringing Dennis Bergkamp on.
One of the finest footballers I've ever seen, I must admit.
Anyway, we got beat 5-0. But
still didn't mean to beat Dabby's ass.
But anyway, the point of that is, it felt like that when we brought Tonali off the bench the other night, and I thought, wow, when have we ever brought quality like that off the bench onto the field, and so that's the progress that I'm talking about, and
that is perfect. And you can see the trajectory that we're going. But Yano again has made an absolute perfect point for me. Going back to that cup final where Pope was banned, Dubs was ineligible, so we had to play Karius. Had opportunities to play him before the final. AH didn't play him at all. 3 years on play, not getting any minutes. And I think that is exactly where we're at. You get in a situation now, and you know what worries me? I mean, I made the point the other day about Bruno, and I made a suggestion. Is Bruno carrying Newcastle at the minute, or is Newcastle as a squad just making Bruno shine? What happens if Bruno gets injured? Who fills the void?
Anybody who can throw their arms in the air.
Or fall over.
I think if Bruno gets injured, I think, daft as it sounds, I think Ramsey is the automatic choice because he's got creativity.
I don't think.
Or alternatively, you bring another defender on and send Tonali up. Play 3 at the back and send Tonali forward.
As good as he is, Bruno, I'll tell you, there's a lot wrong with his game. There's
a little wrong with his game, and there's an awful lot right with his game.
With it, I'm gonna say.
Well, that's true enough. But one thing that really, gets me going is the
I'll be back in a second, guys.
The ball away. He's terrible for giving the ball away. And this,
you can reckon maybe once a game.
As soon as somebody touches him, he's falling over for a free kick, rather than getting on with the game. Anyway, that's just me being hypercritical, because you're right, when, what he does in the game is, Jesus, he takes a beating every game, doesn't he?
Yeah, and like I say, I would say at least once a game he'll try his little 180 and get, instead of getting the foul, he doesn't get the foul. Sometimes he deserves it, by the way, but he doesn't get it, and then we're left struggling.
He's got one thing that I think would improve him as a player, so much, and he did it the other week. When he scored that goal in the top corner.
From outside the box.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, that's
now for the whole season, I've been begging him to do it. But Bruno doesn't. If you notice, he doesn't kick with the top of his foot. He kicks with the inside of his foot. Right. He kind of, rather than put his laces through it, and so. All his shots tend to be grass cutters. They're always in the bottom corners. And I've always seen, like, Bruno, man, put it up in the air, And the one time he does it, it goes right in the top corner. And that's one frustrating thing about him. And I reckon if he actually would do that, lift his shots, he'd probably score about another 6 or 7 goals a season, easy, you know. But it is frustrating. But then that's me being, once again, just hypercritical.
I think sometimes it has to be the coaching that's stopping them from shooting from, because any player who's outside the box, your first instinct surely is to shoot. But all of our players are very
put a bit height on it,
reluctant to do it.
Put a bit height on it.
There's not many of them that do. Just take a pot shot. And as I say, that has to be a coaching thing, and there might be a reason behind it from Eddie, but I don't get it. I don't get why, because we've got some. I mean,
but Bruno will invariably. So you have a shot, but you
have to let them shoot.
It'll be along the deck, you know, and he's proven if he lifts it, you know, gets it to head height, he's more than capable of putting it.
Well, no, he's knocked a few over the bar as well.
Well, yeah, but
and by the way, so is Toon Army.
Well, but as Bobby Charlton says, if you don't shoot, you don't score.
You don't score, eh? Never afraid to miss, Malcolm MacDonald.
But that's part of the issue. We do seem reluctant to shoot from outside the box.
Yeah. But have you noticed the last few games?
We have been.
We have been. Now, is that a change in tactics on Eddie's behalf? Because it's certainly working.
Is this
it's Valdemar, isn't it? It's because Valdemar say.
Is it the set piece? Is the set piece coach as well having his little bit of a say as well? And maybe saying
I've been disappointed. I was really anticipating what this set piece coach was. He came with a fabulous reputation, and I was really looking forward to see what he can do. But right up to now, I don't know what you reckon, Gary, but I haven't seen any massive improvements at all at set pieces. Have you?
He's tried to change it up a little, and I say that in the nicest possible way, because of obviously he's now looking at aiming the ball into a crowded 6-yard box, and as you see, a lot of the big teams do the same. They put the keeper now under a lot of pressure, and I think, like I said, that's a little tweak. Still hasn't been a massive plus for us, but what we are seeing now is more of a scramble on that second ball, and we saw the opportunity, if you like, from Valdemar that he should have scored, hit the post the weekend from a similar situation, just from that scramble in the box. And I think, like I say, that's something that I've seen more often. Usually for us, it's dinked to the back or driven to the back post if it's Trippier. We never seem to utilise the front post flick on for me, and with the lads being as tall as they are, I think it's probably something they should look at. I wanted to ask you guys, moving on, because like I say, I think we've murdered the youth. I expected it to be a 10-minute debate. So if you look at,
you forgot Gary was here.
Yeah, well, listen. As Chris is stuck, obviously sorting the kids out tonight, we are going to be going on as we are. So I'm glad he is here. When you look at the Newcastle have been grinding out results recently, but there's still questions that are obviously still arising. What should Eddie Howe main focus be right now then? If he's chasing Europe again, going all the way in the Carabao Cup, or simply finding some consistency in the Premier League? So let's have a look at it. If you look at last season, after 9 games, we were exactly the same position, but no European competitions. Still heavily focused, obviously, on getting far in the domestic league, the domestic cups, I should say, and obviously trying to find form within the Premier League, because we just didn't seem to have a lot going for us. And it's been a similar situation this year. This is this year's Premier League. We are 12th, same as we were last year. But this year, we've obviously got European competition, which we seem to be doing really well in. Oh, here we go. What's this? Somebody's just thrown one in. I think it was Harry.
That's Warren.
Gary, the name's
all in
dying.
sundry. Gary, the name's dying. Yeah, no.
Yeah, 1992. apparently, was when the name Gary started to disappear, started to dwindle. There you go. Not that
It's
I've looked at it.
methylated spirits, Marco. It's methylated spirits. That's what I'm drinking.
Oh, bless you. So, what is the priority? Because you cannot expect having European competitions, and obviously we've got more games in this league than we had the last time we entered the Champions League. We've obviously wanting to go far. What would be the priority for you guys if you had to choose 3 out of the 4?
Right. Well,
Question.
football for me.
Question.
Football for me is about winning trophies.
It's about winning games.
It's about winning trophies. Why do you want to win games? To win
To win
trophies.
trophies.
Hi, Ian.
So, which competition have we got the best chance of winning?
Champions League.
The Carabao Cup. So my priority right now is the Carabao Cup. And if the Premier League suffers by it, if the Champions League suffers by it, so be it. I want to win trophies. And it's all
about
very
you?
well, the money that you get from the Champions League, but nobody's going to beat that day in February.
You think? See, I think that to prioritize is crazy, right? You're a football club. You're in these competitions, and basically you just do the best you can in all of them, right? If you fall by the wayside
Obviously.
in one, hopefully you do well in the other, right? But you can't. You can't sit there and go, right, this season, what we're going to do is we're going to concentrate on this, and then if we lose that one, then that's okay, but that means we'll be better in this one. It doesn't work like that, But I don't think prioritizing is the way to look at it. You just do the best you can with the team that you've got, the squad that you've got, and if you win nothing, if you give it a good go, so be it. You can't blame the players if they didn't win anything. But if they do, then it's a bonus. It's as simple as that. In my humble opinion, it's as simple as that. You just go out, do the best you can. You got faith in your manager. I mean, the 4 of us here. Surely you've got faith in Eddie Howe.
Of course.
Right.
But I don't.
Warren saying, what a points win?
Prizes.
Like your Brucey bonus.
On this one, though, is this not the full reason why we spent so much money in the summer and why we now have this squad that you guys have all said is the best squad we've ever had? Is so that we don't have to prioritise competitions.
Exactly.
We've got a squad that can carry us through these. And the one thing that's going to do that is if we rotate. So it's not a case of now that when you're looking at competitions that you're thinking, oh, you're downgrading that competition because you're putting a different player in. It's a fact that what you're doing is managing your squad.
Bogey, you've just said it in the magic words, right? Because last season we couldn't do it, and now you've just said rotate. We were dreaming last season of having a squad where we could rotate with a bit of quality. Now we've got it, right? So let's crack on. And so, all right, so you play a Kraft in the Carabao Cup, you play a Kraft and you play a Ramsdale and you play a Sula and blah, blah, blah. But this is their game time and this is their time to shine. It gets them match fit, right? And that's your squad. That's how you work your squad, And when it comes to the Champions League and things like that, you play the elite, This is management. These are Eddie's decisions, but
that's what Eddie said, though, guys, wasn't it? It's about giving. It's getting the balance.
Of course.
we can
And
sit
it's
here.
not an easy job, Gary. It's not.
No, it's not.
Tony T is saying, how is the Carabao Cup easier to win than the FA Cup? The
It's
Carabao
not.
is a two-legged. Well, it is. You've got to beat 3 teams to get to the fight. We've got to beat 3 teams now to get to the final. You've got to beat 6 teams to get to Wembley.
No cup's
We want to be
no
in the
cup's
league.
easier than any other. You've still got to play all the same teams, and every game is a killer.
Yeah, but we joined because we're in the Champions League. We joined the League Cup, the Carabao Cup, at a much later stage. We'll win this. We're in the quarterfinals already.
We're an elite club now. We shouldn't be looking at sort of trying to win competitions easily.
Say that again, please, Bogey. Just the first four words.
But no, we can't be looking just to win competitions because of the easiest one. We've got to be looking to win every competition that we're in. And part of that is being able to rotate your squad round, and Eddie be able to manage that. And if he can't, then I'm sorry, somebody else has to come in who can manage it.
No. This is where I disagree with you, right? If it doesn't end in success, right? If we lose, blah blah blah, you don't turn around and say, right, well that's you out the door. Get somebody else in who can do it. It just doesn't happen, right? If we don't win, what you're basically saying there, Bogey, is that like every competition we're in, we should win.
No,
and that's unreasonable.
No, but what I'm saying is that if he feels in regards to we don't finish high enough for the Premier League, we don't do well in cups, and we're still in the position we are now, then that's not good enough. With the squad we've got, we should be finishing.
No, our squad isn't
higher up. We should be finishing higher up the Premier League, and we should be doing well in cup
no
competition.
Foxy was saying, if we are the big club,
One at a time.
Foxy in the chat is saying, if we are the big club we say and think we are, make no excuses and try to win every game. Yeah. The more games you win, the less tired you are, and the next round could be versus League One or Championship sides.
Right, and going back to what Bogey just said, we've got a good squad, right, where we can rotate, but it's in no way the quality that required to talk about what you're talking about. So, let's just take one step at a time, right? We've got a nice, good bench now, a strong bench. We're progressing and we're progressing, right? But the way you're talking about it is like now that we can rotate, right? We should just be winning stuff. No, you've got to look at the quality of the squad and who you're rotating, right? And we're still not there yet. We still haven't got the bench that we will have in next season or the season after, and that's when Newcastle. You see, this is what I'm saying. Be patient, because in 2 seasons' time, you're going to look back at this and think, "Wow, right, I see what Gary meant now," because Gary's always right.
There's no argument with that one, is there? No, I'm not saying we should win everything. Let's just answer the points. Like, I'm not saying we should win everything, but what I'm saying is we should be challenging in everything.
We are.
We've got the squad to do that. So use that squad and don't make excuses. And don't get us wrong. If Eddie Howe changes the team round and things go completely wrong on tomorrow night, if he does mass changes, then we can't call him for it because we've called out for him to do that. But what I am saying is that you've got to just start doing that throughout the season. You've got to start using this squad and not just playing the same players week in, week out, week in, week out. Otherwise, we'll end up with the injuries that we've ended up with in the past, and that's a fact. That's a proven point that you end up with more injuries the more players play.
Yeah,
as far as injuries are concerned, I think the one thing that we can probably be very thankful that Paul Mitchell did when he came was bringing Steve Bunce. in on the sort of medical injuries front, because I think it's undoubted that since he's come in, injuries have dramatically reduced.
See, Bogey, this is where me and you differ, right? And I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not saying I'm right or anything like that, right? But it's where I get labelled a hobby clubber, right? But I just tend to be more pragmatic and realistic about the situation. Now, what you did is, right? You said the words, right? We've got to do this, and we've got to do that, and we've got to start doing that, and we've got, right? I don't make those demands, right? The squad is what it is right now. It's getting very, very healthy, right? We're not there. We're not the finished article. We're by no means Real Madrid or anybody like that, but it's a work in progress, and you look at it to what it was last season. It's, as far as I'm concerned, it's very, very healthy, and so I'm not going to turn around and say, right now we've got these players, we should be doing this, and we've got to do this, and we've got to do that. Let them get on with it. If it's not successful this season, then let's see how it goes next season, right? But this kind of like vision that people have of like, if we don't win, if we don't succeed this year, it's the end of the world. It's not, right? Just once again, be patient. It's taken longer for us because we can't put in the cash that other clubs have that are getting the success, right? So we have to be pragmatic about it and say, right, okay, but at least you can see it's there for you to see, that the bench now is a billion times better than it was last season. So, just
I think when the injuries come back, I think that bench is going to be strong. And I think what you have got is game changers on there.
There's another thing as well. Is you got to remember this team isn't playing the way it's going to be playing come the second half of the season. Because we're missing one key ingredient, and that guy, when he comes in and gets match fit, he's going to be banging goals in for fun. Is Wissa, he's going to he is, and I say this is my I don't know, one of the things that I say, but he's going to think all these Christmases come at once. Having them two those wingers we've got, and Messi sitting behind them, feeding balls through and little flicks and stuff like that, that guy's going to think it's Christmas. So, and then we're going to see in Newcastle United that people aren't aware of yet, right? But come after Christmas, and when he gets match fit, you heard it here first. You just watch, right? Because we're gonna go flying up that league. We're gonna go flying up that league. I'll tell you. And,
does the other Gary know he has a catchphrase? Says Tony T in the Revenge. Thanks for your fiver. Like I was saying. P.S. Anybody who thinks West Ham is a gimme is forgetting last season.
Yeah, we only won 1-0.
Yeah, but
and it was a tough 1-0.
Just prior to that, just exactly
did we do
exactly what you were saying. With all the players fit, our bench would include Trips, Byrne, Ramsey, Barnes, Alanga, Wissa, and Ramsdale. Yeah. That's good enough to compete in every competition.
Can you just read that second name again?
Trips, Byrne, Ramsey.
The second one again?
Byrne, he's got Byrne on the bench. That's like I say, if that's the bench, you've got to assume that Livramento and Hall are fit, and in the first team.
Hang on, Win, I'm coming to your defence here. Bogey, he's talking about Byrne, the England centre back.
International.
Yes.
Well,
on the bench.
I've got your back, mate. I've got your back.
On the bench.
The only reason I'm saying this is obviously because there's lots of conversations now, and I'm glad everybody here is on the same wavelength. simply because we have got a squad to compete across all competitions now. The concern for me is, can it be managed to compete across all? And the reasons why I say this is we've become Fortress St James's Park again, but very indifferent on the road. Has that got to change for us to compete across all four? Because to me, the drop-off in levels have been absolutely amazing when it comes to competing away from home.
Well, I can say something to you, Gary, but Bogey, do you want to say something first?
No, you go for it, Gary.
No, go on. Away from.
I'm not bothered about it, right? Because and here we go, happy clapping again, right? I'm just enjoying the ride because it's just, you can see it's developing. If we don't win anything, if we get knocked out of a competition, I am not sitting in the bath slashing in my wrists, right? It's just, it didn't happen this year. Let's get on next season. We'll strengthen again come the transfer windows and pick yourself up, dust yourself down, and you move on, right? But people think that, or the people that adopt the attitude of like, if we lose and if we didn't play well, it's the end of the world. Get real, you know. You have bad games, so you lose games that you shouldn't. You know, it's happened to every team in the Premiership. Teams that have been the top of the Premiership and been beaten by the team that were at the bottom, and that's happened, hasn't it?
Many
Absolutely.
times.
Many
Yes.
times.
So therefore, us getting beat or losing a game, so what? You're going to lose games, you know.
Well, it depends on the amount of games you're losing. That's the point.
Well,
Gary,
true enough, but what I'm talking about
If you're having too many bad games, then there's something wrong.
no,
Absolutely.
but I was on about the occasional one.
Gary,
We're saying Hugh, born in the grove,
Just the occasional one.
grove and win.
Just the occasional one.
Gary, do you think we've progressed since last season? Do you think this team is moving forward this season?
Yes.
Which Gary are you talking to?
But the trouble is,
Can we have that in plural? Gary's.
it's
Gary and Barry.
the difference is going to be when Wissa comes back, right? So just as far as I'm concerned, just hang back and then see, because we don't know yet who Newcastle United are this season. When he comes in, right, then we're going to see. And that's what I'm saying. Come after Christmas and the second half of the season, we're going to see who the real Newcastle United are. And I'll tell you what, I think there's going to be defences terrified of facing us, you know, because how are you going to stop her? Well, how are you going to stop her?
I've been saying that since the start of the season. That when we get that proper strike force up and running,
and I come back to be patient, to tell everybody, be patient, let it happen. It just takes time, and for us, it's taken longer than it does other teams, you know. But then you look at like Man City, and look at last season, Man City, they spent load of money and they were flipping shite, you know. So it's
beep.
Yeah, they weren't very good.
is that not allowed?
No.
Sorry,
Apologies to everybody that's...
Sorry, I didn't realise.
That's all right, mate. That's all right.
We get taught it in school up here, by the way.
Exactly. Monk Seaton High, mate. Well, there you go. Well, listen, for me, I agree to disagree on that one because, we can, again, it's about asking the question, isn't it? Have we done enough in games to have competed to get the points? And I think, if we go and play the Liverpools, and it was a frustrating game at Liverpool for more than one reason. When you look at, being patient, I'm all for that. I'm all for building, the foundations before you put the walls up and the roof on. But for me, it was a case of when you're competing at the way we did against Aston Villa, the way we did at Liverpool, against Liverpool, and obviously we lost the game against Liverpool because of the way it was set up. We just switched off at the wrong point. But for me, it's a case of now. I don't want to keep giving excuses. I listened. Somebody was saying, I think it was this morning. There was somebody in the chat was talking about it's because of all the injuries. Now we've not really got that many injuries. We've had injuries and not available to the forward line. We've got injuries to the fullbacks, which has affected us. But is that the main reason? Is that the reasons why it's affected our rhythm so much away from home? Because if we can perform at home, why can we not take the same levels of performance to the away games? And that's why I said, are we leaving a little bit into the locker on certain games to keep the energy levels going into cup and European competitions?
Well, Gary, do you think, right, last season, right, we were playing virtually telepathic football. Get the ball down to Murphy, right? All he needed was one look up, and he was putting it on Isaac's toes. Sorry to use the I word, but right, and it was virtually telepathic, and but now Murphy's coming back in. Have you seen the influence and the difference he's making to the team? Gordon's getting on the back post and putting goals in, and Murphy is one of the most influential and important players in that team. And I've always, even when everyone was saying, "Oh, get rid of him, he's useless," like even a season and a half ago, 2 seasons, he was always one of my favourites. And I used to say to people, like in this chat, and I used to say, you've got to give him his space. You've got to give him a run in the team, because this guy is class, and he's proven it. I would say he's arguably the best right winger in the country. His service to the people in the penalty area is second to none. His he one look up in the first time cross. There's not very many wingers you see doing that. Getting the ball in behind the defence. Murphy is an expert at it, and this is why when Wissa comes in, with the whole complexion's going to change.
I hope you're right, but I can think of a couple of wingers who I would rather have than Murphy, like in the whole league.
Well, I'll tell you, that's just my opinion. But when I actually can't, Murphy. How
about Mo Salah?
No, I'd have Murphy. Well, you're laughing, right? But I'll tell you what. Wait a minute. How many times you seen Mo Salah in a right back position putting a tackle in to stop an attack? Never. How many times you seen Murphy do it? Loads. And that's why I would choose.
Well, you were talking about as a right winger.
Well, but that's his job, isn't it? Back forwards. Yeah. And for me, Murphy, I'm gonna go up to the shop, and the supporter shop, and see if they sell life-size blow-up dolls.
I think that's a different program, isn't it?
I'll have one in the corner of my living room.
What are you saying, Rory?
I think you need to start monitoring more the pills that you're giving to the happy clappers, because you're overdoing it now.
I love it.
Hey, look. We are joined by the mighty Jeffo.
Hey, Jeffo. How you doing, buddy? Are you good?
Oh, you're mute.
Can't hear you, dude. Yeah, you see, there you go. Look, no, you can't hear you, Dak.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I'll do it without the headset. Yeah, good
evening. There you go. Good evening, mate. How are you?
Good, thank you. Good to see you.
And yourself? Very good.
Toon!
Julie Army.
So we're just even the score. We've got Mr. Neutral running the show,
yeah,
and we've got 2 happy clappers versus 2 bedwetters.
yeah. I think we should even it out, should we? We should put like a bar between all of you. If I'm honest with you,
This could get messy.
it could. I know who I'm favouring. If I'm honest with you. Trust me, I know who would win if it was a drinking game, but it won't be. Anyway, so we've got, it is about performance, right? And like I said, injuries have disrupted, or injuries unavailability has disrupted our progress this season. Boki made a point to you guys, well, both of us, about have we improved from last year? Well, yes, we have. Results haven't. Yes, we've improved as a squad. We've included another competition, which is in a different format. And we are getting there. And that's what I said. Performances for me is what counts. If we go out there, like, I hold my hand up now and say, was I upset about losing to Liverpool? Yeah, I was. But the way we lost, I have to give them a clap, because with 10 men, and getting back to 2-2, there should have been a way of dealing with the match. And we just, like I say, we fell asleep at the last minute. But that is the attitude I want to see home and away. And that is what upsets me more than anything else, is where we are scrapping, even at home, against Fulham, to get a win rather than just a point, which would have been a really upsetting point for any Newcastle player and fan. Because again, it's a game you dominate in patches. But for me, the drop-off in performances, and I'm not going to blame 2 fullbacks being injured at the same time for not being able to control a game. And that is where I say to myself, have we really improved that much this year? Or are we just sticking to the same 11 that we've been out there through the last 2 seasons? And that's why I want to see these players come in and make a difference, because what that does to any opposition coach is it changes their mindset. How is this player going to perform in an Eddie Howe team that I haven't seen? So it's about bringing in new faces to make the squad work at every game. And that's where I get a little bit, I say frustrated is the word I'm going to use.
Do you think, though, Gary, that there's a point now? See, I've said this in the last couple of times I've been on. Valdemar has changed everything.
Yeah, he has.
He's just changed everything. So now Eddie is sort of figuring out how, maybe it's different permutations of how to play the team, right? Now, I think he's made, in the last couple of games, he's made good progress, because now he's got the wingers in, and he's got the wingers scoring, right? Which was the issue 2 or 3 games ago. So he seems to have addressed that, and he's got Gordon and Murphy playing much more involved in the games up front, and Barnes. So I don't think that there is a set style that Eddie has in his mind of how he wants it to play. I think he's having to sort of box clever, with the players that he's got, and find out how to utilize them.
But why should that be different away from home than it is at home?
I can't answer that, Win. Obviously, I can't answer that. It shouldn't, but then again, as I'm saying, there's not a set style that we play. We did last season because we had Isaac. Sorry, I word again. But so we knew what we were doing. Everything happened automatically. But it's different now, and I think it's all still a bit of a work in progress. But they're starting now. You can see the improvement, and we're picking wins up. So, once again, I'm saying, be patient, let it happen, and happy clap. But it
Thank
is,
you.
it
I've
is.
been saying home and away, Gary. What about neighbours?
EastEnders and Coronation Street. Oh, bless
Well,
you.
we got the EastEnders. I'll tell you what, we got 3 points coming at EastEnders in a couple of games' time.
But do you? I mean, obviously, we it was one each, wasn't it, last season? They beat us at home. We beat them at their ground. Things have obviously massively changed now in the Newcastle favour. But again, that's what worries me. It's going to a team at the minute that seem void of ideas, completely, no confidence whatsoever within the squad, lacking quality across the board. Yes, they've got individuals, but
10,000 empty seats against Brentford with a boycott going on
with
there.
a boycott going
We're
on.
talking West Ham or Newcastle here.
Oh!
No, but here's the thing. Here's the thing. That's why I'm saying we should be rotating against West Ham and not against Tottenham. That's why I'm prioritising the Tottenham game against the West Ham game. I don't care what anybody says. The West Ham game's an easier game.
Jeffo, do you think Thomas Frank's going to put a changed squad against Newcastle tomorrow night?
It's an interesting one, isn't it? Because obviously it's his first crack at trying to get some silverware in his new gig at Spurs. So he may well actually be more up for this than even we are. I think we've seen the way our players operate. They're very mentally switched on in terms of when we have the big games. You've seen the performances against sort of Liverpool and Arsenal. When we're bang on it, we're bang on it. The bright lights of the Champions League. I just wonder if the hunger isn't quite there in terms of we've already conquered this mountain and we conquered it last season. And let's be real, it's not the bright shining light it once was, seeing as we've won the cup already. But there is something there about having pride as sort of defending champions. So, I think Spurs may go for this, but I still favour us at home. But I do think it'll be a narrow game. I really do.
According to a mole that's predicted a 11, Kinski, Porro, Polinia, Danzo, Spence, Gray, Bentancur, Bergvall, Johnson, Tell, and Odebert is potentially the 11 that we'll be facing tomorrow.
Well, what you've named there is just about their strongest possible lineup, given the injuries that they've got.
They'll be going for it. He wants a cup. In his first year, he wants a cup. He's going to be playing.
Did you say Van der Ven then or not? Because he's just
coming back, isn't he?
He's just come back, so...
Yeah. So that's what the mole is predicting, and it's virtually what we put down. And like you say, apart from Bergvall coming in, which I think he would play anyway. So I wanted to ask you, Jeffo, if I could, because the lads have given me their info. We're talking about like a priority now. I obviously got a feeling now that with the right management of players, that with the squad that we've got now, we should be able to compete across all of the competitions that we are now facing. But that would mean giving players rotation, giving players that haven't played much this year, and I'm talking like the likes of Kraft, that haven't really been involved in games, got many minutes under the belt. Is it too much of an ask to get these players games to compete across the floor?
There's a couple of points. I'll come to the last bit in very shortly. I think the first one is I actually don't think we still have the squad, and I think it speaks volumes on the basis of how much money we spent that I don't feel we've bolstered the squad enough. So that for me is a little concern, and I still feel like we need a couple of faces in there because literally we've had like a couple of injuries and it already feels a bit like, we're missing XYZ player. In terms of making those changes, I think we have to. We can't keep playing the same players. As we know, once autumn and winter comes, you start getting more injuries. So we have to protect the players. And I think Eddie does struggle with that in terms of the stubbornness And don't get me wrong, I think he's determined to get the result because he knows who he trusts. But I think it's about putting trust in the squad. Whenever Crafty's played, for example, he's never really let us down. He always puts in 100% effort. So I'm not saying he should experiment and take huge risks. But I was talking about on 90s Mags, for example. I don't see a reason why Alex Murphy couldn't play left back. Give Dan Burn a rest. Give Thiaw a rest or whoever it is. Fabian Schär could play. So it's just about making those changes and trusting the squad.
I agree. Do you
We
think,
certainly
Jeff
wouldn't be Murphy.
Jefferson? Can I just ask a question? Do you think though, right? When you're saying we haven't got the squad, right? I think we have got the squad, but the one thing that people seem to be overlooking and not acknowledging yet is we are still playing without an out-and-out centre forward, right? And so we're making do, right, and basically picking up scraps because we haven't got the centre forward, a number 9, a designated number 9. Now, do you think if we had that when Wissa comes in and he starts banging in a goal a game, which he's going to, do you think then you would turn around and say, well, maybe we have got the squad?
I think midfield is a problem in terms of quality and depth. I really, really do. And in terms of the striker issue, I think, as you saw, I think we were looking to get another striker in, but it really felt like time had run out. So it wouldn't surprise me if in January we probably go back in for that Fratesi, because we know what Eddie's like. When he sees a player he likes, he goes for it. And that's fair enough because we need another body in there. I really do think we need one. And I think you're right. I think we might need an out-and-out 9. I think I think I said this last time I came on the show. I think it's a little bit dangerous to think, when the injured players come, the cavalry will arrive. I think Wissa might need time to settle in terms of how we play. We've seen it with Elanga. Elanga's really struggled. And I've pointed this out in terms of playing style. Brentford are very, very direct, more direct than us. They launch balls in the box. They play long ball. And if you have a look at a lot of Vissa's goals, some of them come about from sort of balls bouncing about in the box. Very instinctive finishes.
He's like Wilson. He's like Wilson, isn't
he?
he?
Yeah, more so like a Wilson. So I can see why we were in for the likes of your Strand Larsens and whatnot, and it just felt like we couldn't get that other one over the line. So I still feel we're
by all accounts, it's Samu that we're after now.
I mean, that would be amazing.
But I was just picking up on your point, though, that you said, is that you felt as though that we didn't have the squad. See, I think we do have the squad, and what we're doing is missing one last piece of the jigsaw, and I think Wissa's going to be that piece, and it's that. We've got the wingers working, we've got Voldemort, but Voldemort can't be two people, and we're kind of asking him to be that right now, and which is a bit unfair on him. But he is better dropping back a bit and feeding the wingers and putting the ball through. So when we've got the designated number 9, then do you think that you would? I'll repeat myself. That you will feel as though we've really got the squad because we're going to have the end product, aren't we, at the end of it when the ball's in the back of the net.
2 secs, Gary, because Warren's agreeing with you. Voldemort are totally different to Rats, more like Berbatov or Sheringham. He's a forward link. With Wissa, it will all come together just like magic. Now, here's the thing, though, Gary. If you're going to play Voldemort and Wissa,
yep.
Who are you going to drop?
Joe Linton.
Are you going to play with a 2-man midfield?
Yep. And I would use the wingers wide to strengthen the midfield, right? And also the 2 fullbacks to push up if we're pushing the wingers forward. I'm talking Tino and Hall here, by the way. Because we're talking about.
You're going 4-2-4 with Bruno and Tonali presumably as your first choice.
No, you wouldn't. No, you'd do a 4-2-3-1, wouldn't you?
Play Voldemort in the way the way Harry Kane played for Spurs, where he was coming deep and linking up, and then
you're saying 4-2-3-1. I'm saying 4-2-4. It's
But,
the same. You're losing a midfielder. That's the point I'm making.
Well, you wait because
Yeah,
with
but-
Voltemada, if you look at the way Voltemada plays now, Voltemada actually gives you that extra midfielder.
That's right. And also, you're not losing anything really, Win, because if you've got the two fullbacks supporting the midfield, the two in midfield, or you've got the two wingers dropping back and supporting the midfield, Gordon and Murphy or whoever, right? You're not losing them because you're keeping the core of your midfield, which is going to be Tonali and Bruno, right? So therefore, I don't see it that you're weakening it at all. And in fact,
And then on the bench, you've got Miley, Ramsey, and J7.
and
Squad-wise. On the bench, you've got Byrne and Trippier.
hang on, and what's the
And on the bench, you've got Lascelles and Shea.
I don't see any.
And on the
problem.
bench, you've got Ramsdale. That's not a bad. That's not a bad bench.
That's
If you're playing, I'm saying 4-2-4. You're playing 4-2-3-1.
Well, look, Win, get a letter off, right, to the Toon and tell them that you found this fella, right, who who knows how to do it.
I mean,
I
it's an
just worry
interesting
about
thought.
playing two in midfield. That's all.
But you're not. You're
But
playing
everybody
four in
plays it now.
midfield.
I'll let Gary go first. I've got an answer. for
You're
that.
constantly playing four in midfield, Win. So you're not playing two in mid. You've got a core of two, but then again, Voltemada is going to be dropping deep. So they've always got the option.
Okay, so in which case, let's put it another way. Then you're losing Bruno's creativity completely.
No.
No.
That can move.
Why does it have to be so black and white, if you pardon the pun?
Because Bruno has got no recovery pace.
But Win, to be fair, if we've got our best back four in place, so you've got Hall, Tino, Chow and Botman playing, you don't have to have one of your midfielders covering for Byrne at left back. So you can take that player out.
You see, my point is,
this isn't being funny. You can take that player out of the team. You don't need that defensive cover on that side. So then you can play the team that the guys are on about, and it won't affect defence.
I agree that I would play Voltemada and Wissa, and we need to buy another centre forward for the bench, another striker for the bench. So I agree that. What I would do though is I would lose one winger. I would play with one winger instead of two wingers.
I've got a solution for that Win. I think the Chelsea formation that won them the Champions League, 3-4-2-1, would be excellent for us because you would have your Byrne, or everybody that wants Byrne in the team, in my opinion, shouldn't be in the team, but you've got your Byrne in the team and you've got your three centre-backs, Byrne left centre-back,
Botman in the middle, Thiaw on the right.
Thiaw on the right. So it all plays to their strength. And then you can utilise the pace of Tino and Hall on both sides. And they can get up and down and provide the width. In the middle, you've still got Tonali and Bruno, which seems narrow. But what you do is the two in front. If you remember for Chelsea, they had Havertz and Mount, who are 8-10s. You can play a Gordon more centrally. If you notice, he started getting better at passing the ball centrally. Because I don't think his output wide is very good. No. So I think we should let those fullbacks, the wing backs, do the width. Play the two behind, and you can have a Wissa when he's there. You can have a Voltemada sitting next to Gordon. You can have a Barnes sitting next to Gordon. You can have a Murphy sitting next to Gordon with a Voltemada in front. It gives you a few more options.
Do you think, though, mate, doing that system, you get the right quality? You do from Hall, but do you get the right quality in the middle from Tino, crossing-wise?
There is pressure there for him to then produce on that right-hand side, which he has struggled with. So I agree. I think that's a very fair challenge. I think the only other way that could work is kind of what Win is alluding to, that you would probably risk it and hope that like potentially one of the midfielder could slightly come, higher up and link on that side. But again, if we could get caught in transition because then you've only got that one in midfield.
That's my worry.
Unless
you see, for me, what you've just said there, Harvey Barnes suits that system down to a T, because that's the system if you remember, we had a couple of games where he played narrow, and I can't remember who it was against, but he looked a different player. He was playing just right in the 8, on the inside right position, and he looked totally different. Linking up play, making those nice little runs in the void in between, in front of the defences, just behind the midfield of the opposition. So I think it's a possibility. And you listen to Eddie Howe, and he says with his 4-3-3, it gives him so many different fluid tactics, because he can go 2 or 3 at the back, and we've seen that when Trippier's dropped across, when we've got Hall or Tino on the left-hand side, bombing on, you play that pivot across to the left where everybody takes 5 yards. It doesn't create a lot of difference in the side. But what I always find at this present moment in time, unless Trippier's in the side, and to be fair, he hasn't been giving us a lot of output from that right-hand side, for me, the priority in January has to be a fullback. Have you noticed
on the fullbacks here? Have you noticed though? You were mentioning Tino and about Tino down the right and getting his crossing sorted out, right? Because he's not very productive crossing from the right. But have you noticed if you play him on the left, his crossing is absolutely flawless.
He's Spinat Zola, isn't he?
Maybe the pressure's off him now, guys. You know what I mean?
But
maybe
you realise on the left, and the crosses are going to come in all day. Yeah.
Maybe he realises he's got cover behind him, and we're on the right hand side where we seem to favour the left hand side, and he goes bombing. Maybe he doesn't feel as though he has the opportunities, because he never gets in the right positions for me down that right hand side that he does down the left hand side. And what I also notice in the left-hand side, and again, this is an Eddie Howe trait, and sometimes I do get a little bit frustrated with this. Left-hand side, he allows the full-back to run on the inside left position. On the right-hand side, he wants them playing in the 6. That's just the way he sits. If you have a look at the way he sets up, especially when Tripp's in the side, Trippier goes into the 6, and that allows then whoever's there to have that double pivot, whether it be Miley or Tonali, and it allows Bruno freedom.
We have a strong left-hand side, though, right? And it works every time, and you can't change it. If you play Barnes and Tino down the left, it's a winner, right? You play Tino and Gordon, it doesn't work the same, right? For some reason, those two just hit it off. Like you wouldn't believe.
Well, they did at Wembley, certainly.
No, they do it every time, and I've said this.
Well, that's my worry is that Tino, for me, is a better left back.
Oh yes,
than he is a right back, and not only that, I think he's a better left back than Lewis Hall is.
Yes. Without a doubt, I agree with you.
Come on now.
No.
I don't think there's much between them, but I think Hall being natural.
I think he's the best left back in the country.
He can cross the ball. You know, he got a few assists, and he can score. He can score from the edge of the box. I think he's technically a better player. I think Tino is a better athlete. He relies a lot on his speed. But if you look at Lewis Hall, not only has he got speed, but he's got the game intelligence with the 1-2s, the way he comes inside. He looks dangerous.
Jefferson.
He looks like he could score a goal. You know, he reminds me a bit like a alarm type player. You know. Because obviously he was formerly a midfielder. And I actually think that's something Eddie should look at. Could be utilising.
And by the way, Warren, thank you for your super chat. Walter Marder hasn't got off the speed mark.
And Jeff,
for a forward,
have you noticed when Tino plays down the left, he's dribbling past 3 and 4 players, right? With using his pace and his football skills. You never see him do that on the right-hand side.
Well, when he does it on the right, Gary, he goes into the middle.
Yeah,
his runs are from right back in towards the centre circle and beyond. Whereas when he's on the left, for some reason, it must be a natural thing that he's got to run to be able to dribble and control the ball going left as opposed to going right. But when he beat, because he often comes away with the ball at right back, beats a couple of men, gets in the middle, and generally loses his way. But on the left in particular,
he's like Genola. When you're coming down the left, it doesn't matter, 2 or 3 players.
That's not a natural thing. It's the way it's being coached. In that, when he's playing down the left, Gordon's taught to head inside a little bit. So if you notice the way we play the left with Gordon on the left,
I just think
he always steps inside a little bit. Whereas on the right, the winger, whoever it is, Murphy or Alanga, tend to hug this touchline a little bit more.
I think our strongest.
Let's just finish, Gary. So just it's the slightly different ways we'll play on each side, and that's the coaching side of it rather than the player himself.
Maybe Gordon needs to go left central midfield, because I still don't think he produces enough from wide positions. I don't think his end product's got enough quality, but I've started to see very recently he's got a deadly reverse ball from the inside when he comes centrally, and he's still got enough speed to beat a man inside. He is looking for the 1-2s, and actually sometimes when he gets frustrated, he's coming inside anyway, and he's trying to dribble past 1 or 2 inside. Again, it's something to look at. I wouldn't be mad at Eddie if he experimented and tried a couple of these things. I would actually really back him up on that and say, look, at least he's looking to do something different.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's got to be, especially going into Europe, if he wants to go deep in the European competitions, I think you have to change it up a little bit. You have to change it up to try and upset the balance, the apple cart. If you're too, steady Eddie, as we call him, I just think it's so easy for European managers, coaches to get the better of you. So it's certainly something that we need to seriously look at. Going on to, for me, the way I've put it, if you look at, I've put it as segment 2 about league stability, regain consistent results, performances, protect top players from burnout, and Newcastle's home form versus away record. We've done that. The domestic cup push for me, if you were to look, hello cat, he's meowing at my feet. If you look at the domestic side of things, yes, we are so far further forward, I should say, not far forward, further forward in the Carabao than we are in the FA. And because it's going to come to an end, it doesn't go to 2 legs until the semis, am I right?
Semis, yeah.
So tomorrow will be penalties to finish it. So it'll come to an end at St James's Park. So again, that is a bonus. There's no extra games. And I think the more we can do that, and it's like, the lads earlier on were saying, when you look at, if we get into the knockout stages of the European competition, the Champions League, that is games that we don't need at this present moment in time. Because I still think, everybody's talking about Wissa's doing the hard yards now. I think Eddie's going to be crafty here. I don't think Eddie will want to bring Wissa into the side to go straight to the AFCON. I think he'll delay Wissa's return until December, and then you'll start to see Wissa. And again, are we going to get the same person? And we've seen what injuries can do to players. Are we going to get the same Wissa back that we saw quite happily playing so well at Brentford? Because we don't know yet.
I don't know what Warren's on here, but he's eating crispy king prawn with fluffy egg fried rice.
Sounds nice.
Bit to the Chinese. Very nice.
The problem is, if we bring Wissa back in December, we are just getting him fit for AFCON.
But that's what I said. Then you've got.
Well, you're missing out the World Cup qualifier.
The World Cup qualifier.
Here's the World Cup qualifier, but he's not going to be able to play game after game after game there, and he's going to be on the bench probably for us until.
No, there's only one game. Maybe
There's
2.
two
No, I
games.
think that. It's just Morocco, isn't it?
No. It's 2 games. It's in Morocco.
I'm not talking about for national. I'm talking about for Newcastle.
I know.
If you only bring him back in December for It's basically just getting him ready for AFCON. And we're not going to be able to play him every game, and he's not going to be a regular starter. They're going to have to build his match time up.
Well,
So
they
basically
said
all
6
we're
weeks,
getting
didn't
ready-
they?
Yeah, so basically all we're doing is getting him ready for AFCON.
But that's what I said. I don't think you'll see much of Wissa to try and keep him away from AFCON. And I don't, whether that's right or wrong. There's been lots of jibes from Liverpool regarding what we did with the Rat about keeping him unfit. And at the end of the day, that was his choice. What I'm saying is, for me, are we just opening another door to be abused here by another outlet? And I don't want to sound nasty towards Congo, because Congo deserve to get their better players playing for them. But
Sorry, it's away at Cameroon. They're playing on the 13th of November. They play Cameroon.
then they've got Nigeria, haven't they? If they win that.
Well, that's a tough go. I think they're going out then.
Oh, I do. Yeah, exactly. I don't think they'll have any chance, if I'm honest with you, in the World Cup.
Do
But
you think Wissa will really go?
where?
Yeah.
To the AFCON? Because it's towards the end of December, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's
but
Christmas.
Do you not think that he owes us?
It's got nothing to do with us, though, Gaza.
Yeah, if he gets called up, he's just got to.
He's got to go.
Unless he's injured. And
You
the
have
point
to
is,
go, unless he
is
retires.
we can't play him. And that's what Gary's saying. Do you think Eddie's playing his cards close to his chest and saying, no, he's not fit, he's not fit, he's not fit, so that they can't call him up for AFCON, and not until they've then named their squad and maybe he's even played their first match?
I mean, there's lots of
But of
videos
course,
going round.
Wissa is going to have to agree to all of that.
Exactly.
And I think, given Wissa's age, he's
This is
going
his
to
last competition,
want to play in every competition that he can.
We've got to remember as well, it's the internationals medical team who are in charge of this.
Yeah.
So even if they do that, they can still say, no, we want him to travel across, and we'll give him a medical.
We'll give him a test,
and they'll quickly find out that he is fit. So I think that's a moot point. We can't sort of hide his injury because they'll pick up on it.
No, but what I'm saying is you can delay his fitness, if that makes any sense.
But then do you do that with a player?
Well, that's what I said.
We deliberately prevent him getting fit.
Well, it won't happen, because there's loads of videos out there now on social media showing him in the fitness room working with the lads. I mean, it looks like he's got a great rapport with a lot of the lads already.
It's just the swelling, I think, that's the problem.
There's no swelling, mate. He's doing a lot of work now. That's what I said.
Well, Eddie said
yard.
this morning that it was a swelling.
Well, like I just said to you, if you was to watch him, if you want to watch him in the training ground, in the training room, working on the bike and everything else, okay, I'm just going to agree to disagree. And that's what I said. I don't know, and I'm not going to, I'm not going to sit here and point.
No, they're talking about them coming back for the Brentford game.
That's what I'm saying. So if there was swelling on the knee, they wouldn't even be talking about him coming back on the Brentford game.
Well, no, what he said was that it's just a swelling on the knee that might prevent him being
available
for the Brentford game.
Yeah, there you go then. Last
year there was 10 games in 30 days in December, and I just checked. There's only 7, so there's less games. Unless sometimes they change it for the TV, don't they?
That's exactly right. Yeah,
so that might change in the coming weeks. I don't know, but
they're not already done.
There's less games.
We had
all the December fixtures are sorted.
Yeah, I had a lovely caravan holiday there once. When swelling on the knee.
It's a nice place, swelling on the knee.
Yeah,
I visited there myself one time. It's just next to New Malton in the Marsh.
Oh, I'm glad I've not been there. Swelling on the knee. It's an interesting one, because I think this could go on. The one thing that frustrates you as a fan is if there is an element of truth behind it, and I'm not saying there is, but it obviously stops us from seeing him until Christmas.
But Dragorus one there in the comments, right, has just said that it's his decision ultimately right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
therefore,
yeah,
if
he
they
could
want
retire.
him- If they
If you-
want him to go, right? and he
The only
says,
thing
well,
he can
no,
do is retire.
because- Sorry, Gary?
The only thing he can do, his decision, is to retire from international football. That's the only decision he's got to make.
Yeah, you cannot refuse.
You cannot refuse going to. If you're chosen to go, you cannot refuse.
I might be wrong with this, but I don't. I think there's a time frame that you have to retire in as well. I don't think you can just.
I wouldn't know about that at all.
I don't think we
check
can
on
just.
that, but
We can look that up if anybody knows, but I don't think you can just retire so you don't go to a tournament. I think
But
that
hold on, I'm just thinking here, right?
What
I've just said
I had
that out of my
swelling
mouth.
on my knee once. Not one to brag.
I've just, I've just bloody tripped myself up here. Because what about who's the right back for Arsenal who refused to play for England? White.
Oh, Ben White.
Yes,
yeah.
Ben
he
White.
did. Yeah.
So isn't that the same situation then? Because he actually refused to play for England.
Yeah, he said, I'm not going just to sit in the squad and etc.
That's right, yeah. Even though he was picked as part of the squad, wasn't he? Am I right or wrong?
That's right. Yeah, spot on.
Oh, there you go then. So obviously it is up to Wissa. What am I talking about? What do I
Oh,
know?
it's not.
absolutely up to Wissa.
No, it's not, lads. The country can then put a thing in saying, no, you've got to come or you can't play the games for your club. So
But do you think this is a value-
I don't think England invoked that. But Congo, if Wissa said, look, I'm just not coming, they could say, okay, but for the duration that we're in the competition, you can't play for your own club.
But Bogey, look at the thing is, he got his injury playing for his country, right? So it's cost him his new club. He's not even kicked the ball for us yet. So if he turns round and says, well, look, because of the circumstances, I would rather sit this one out, and maybe he's come back for the next one or whatever, right? Surely there's a little bit of leeway.
There's not. I'm not saying that what you're saying isn't exactly the way it should be, Gary. But I'm pretty sure that if you're called up for your country and refuse to play, the country can invoke a thing saying you can't play for your club.
So
what I've got here is players can technically refuse to play for their country if they're selected, but there are consequences to consider. FIFA players have an obligation to accept international call-ups, and refusal can lead to penalties such as fines or bans. The severity of the penalty varies depending on the governing body and the specific circumstances. Players can communicate their refusal to the governing body, but this is not legally binding. Historically, context shows the player's selection was more dictatorial in the past, but now players have more influence due to professionalism and financial stakes. There you go. That's what it states. So, as Boki just said, yes, they can refuse, but there could be consequences going down the line regarding, FIFA then saying, well, if you can't play for your country, you can't also play for your club. So there is a potential of that happening. Any question? Anything to add to that? Or are you all...
I think it's completely wrong. I think if a player doesn't want to play for anybody, they shouldn't be forced to do it. If they're not contracted to that, you're not contracted to your country as such, and you can be dropped by your country as well. So it should be a two-way street.
Yeah.
But it seems to be that with international football, and you can kind of get it because the international football, I don't want to play down international football, but it's not as big now as sort of the league system and Champions League and things like that. So I think the worry that players would just turn around and say, you know what, I'm getting paid a lot of money playing for my club, and we're in.
Well, by the way, Newcastle are getting compensation.
Yeah.
For Wissa, we're getting half his wages paid.
They're getting all his wages paid.
It would appear, actually, that legally it's all down to national law and not FIFA or international law. For example, Spanish law allows for the RFF, which is the España Football Federation, to effectively ban a player from club registration. So if a Spanish player refuses to play for Spain, then the Spanish association, like their FA, can prevent him being registered for a Spanish club. So it would appear to vary from country to country. But the bottom line is, it's down to Wissa. That's what it boils down to for me. And I think he could effectively say, if he doesn't play in AFCON or in the World Cup, it's probably definitely, there's an oxymoron, but it's probably going to be his last ever shot at a World Cup. And maybe even though AFCON's every 2 years, it's probably going to be his last stab at.
Yeah, and you've got to be realistic about it. What's his chances of winning either?
Well, you never know. You've got to be in it to win it. That's the point.
But I think you've got to be fair to the lad himself. And if you imagine that we were playing in it was a European competition, and it was an English player saying this, who was our top player, would all be sitting here saying, "What's he on about? He should just be, if he's fit, he should be there."
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
He should be proud to wear the colours.
Yeah, 100%. So we're looking at it through the wrong eyes here. That lad, if he's patriotic and wants to play for his country, we signed him knowing that. So even though he got
exactly, when we signed him, when new AFCON was on, and we assumed he would be playing there.
And I think we're all downplaying a little bit. AFCON's a big competition for their players.
It's arguably the second biggest non-world. It's the second biggest continental competition in the world now.
100%.
Because I think it's harder to win than the South American one.
It's very difficult. And you've seen shocks can happen. Obviously, Ivory Coast, no one saw that one coming. They should have won it many times over. And I think, Gary, you were talking about they might not win it. You know what? It actually made me think about Zambia back in 2010. Obviously, my team, Ghana, they beat Ghana in the semi-final. And
they were flying
in the final, which was crazy.
Yeah, they had one of those tournaments that
crash.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and they did it without a striker who played for the Toon.
Jeppers, you ever thought you might be a bit of a jinx with football teams?
You know what it is, bottom line. I just want to see him playing for the Toon.
Exactly. Don't we all? Gary Gary the Hat. Have you got any roof on your house, man?
No, but it stopped raining, so it's all right.
I mean, it's going to be an interesting one. Like I said,
I reckon he'll be back for Brentford. There you go. I think he'll be on the bench for Brentford.
Lovely.
I'd love to see it. Breakfast.
I was going to ask you about integration then. Looking at the next set of fixtures, because 7 games in 23 days. So we must start looking at the integration of the lads that come in the summer. I think Malik Thiaw for me has been probably the highlight with Voltemada. Gaz said earlier that Voltemada brings something different when he's not playing WWE with the opposition defenders. I totally agree with you. But I think the beauty of him, and we talk about his pace, he's reliant so much on the Newcastle players around him to develop beyond him. And we see it a lot with Murphy. And I think what we're starting to see with Murphy playing more of an inside when Gordon plays very wide on that left-hand side. And when we bring the subs on, we see a switch. And we were talking about this the other day, weren't we, Win? When you look at like Harvey Barnes then plays more of the inside role, and it's Elanga that goes stretching the team, if you like, stretching their defence. So Eddie Howe's got this option of either going, as Jeffo said earlier, but if you want to play a different system, you've got 2 ideal players to go out really wide and stretch. And you've got 2 really good players that can sit narrow, whether you've got the right quality. And I think that's why Eddie Howe is now starting to look at getting players' minutes, but still retaining the balance within the squad to perform. And I think that must be, the question. Have we got the players coming into the side now that have had enough minutes? Now, I mean, obviously, we all know, bless him, Ramsey hasn't had enough minutes because he hasn't been available for selection. But out of the summer signings, they all seem to be getting the minutes that, there's certain fewest getting the minutes because obviously availability. But I certainly love what I'm seeing from Malik Thiaw at the minute. I think he has been by far the best deal. His calmness on the ball, he's the way he moves from right centre to left centre without any hesitation, takes it on board and still plays, with that momentum, and that's what I like. It was, I haven't seen, apart from the first game against Liverpool, I haven't seen him look bad, if I'm honest with you. And like I say, against Liverpool, it was a cameo.
I think I would go with Voldemort as the best deal, but
Gary,
well, because it's the other end, isn't it?
You know Alice, don't you, who does all her excellent
the Man United girl.
Right, and her headline on one of them, right, was after the weekend. The headline was, "How the hell did Malik Thiaw only cost 30 million quid?" And I thought, yeah,
it seems to be the snip, doesn't it?
Because that guy, I mean,
and by the way, the Milan fans in their chats were saying, "Whoa, we've taken their trousers down, getting 35 million for him." Because they didn't rate him at all.
Maldini wanted, wasn't it? This was the defence Maldini wanted. And that's, don't get me wrong, it's all ifs and buts. I'm just happy about the situation we got now. But, we have to look at last summer a little bit where, Paul Mitchell was saying, hey, how about this German kid? He's looking all right. And, we had those sort of rose-tinted glasses of the English players. So what I'm hoping is we're seeing here is go with the
hang on, we were looking at Malik Thiaw before Paul Mitchell came on the scene.
That's right.
Well, even if that's the case, even take Mitchell out of the equation, just this obsession over English players or Premier League proven players, I think it's not paying dividends. We've seen what's happened with Wissa. We've seen what's happened with Elanga. I'm just hoping transfer strategy wise, Eddie trusts it and we go the other way now. We have to look for the bargains.
Hang on a minute. We've seen what's with Wissa. What, he got injured?
Yeah, he got injured. And he's 29 and he's going to AFCON.
So that's down to buying English players.
But we've paid it and we've not seen him. It's a risk we took. It didn't pay off.
Well, it's a risk you take with any player.
We still don't know.
Regardless where they come from.
Can I just pick you up as well? Can I just pick you up as well? Up till this week, you were very much not on the fence with Thiaw. Now all of a sudden you're completely with us lot, saying he's a great player. But before that, you
I'm not.
You were very much sitting on the fence with Thiaw, saying, "I'm not sure about Thiaw." Everybody else was saying he's a great player,
and I'm still sitting on the fence with him.
But not now. You're a lot more positive than you were.
I mean, you have got to look at it from an end of season. The way I look at it, and that's what we have to do. At the minute, I've only seen him, against certain opposition. And I think it was Foxy's just said, it's all right rating a guy against lower sides. You've got to start seeing him up against, the rapid sides before you can give a full valuation. And that is absolutely spot on. My only thought was, and again, the only reason why I question why I've just said it is the fact that why were we the only club after him?
Because he wasn't that highly rated.
I think it was the price, but also the fact that he was meant to be going to Como. Like Milan literally was like,
well, they more or less signed him, hadn't they?
It was almost done and dusted.
Yeah. That's what I couldn't understand.
He was one of them that just slipped under the radar, and we like Isak was. And sorry, I word again. I apologise.
Yeah, but Isak came with a wedge. didn't it? 64 million £64 million. I mean, that's what I said. You pay, and again, he'd only scored 6 goals when we bought him. So another massive gamble.
Well, from what I've seen so far, that guy is shaping up to be the best centre half in the league, and arguably in Europe.
Well,
He's impacted the
what
team.
I'm saying is, I'm keeping my powder dry. He's done very well since he's come in.
Since
And I'm keeping my powder dry.
He's
remember
impacted the team.
Hold on. One at the time, because we can't
Sorry.
hear you.
Go on.
Jeffer.
I was just going to say he's impacted the team because I think we went on and on about it, not just last season, the season before, about Dad's Army, how slow we are through the centre of the pitch, and what he gives us is extensive recovery pace, because it even looked at times that I think a lot of Hall and Tino's injuries have come from overrunning and having to overcover because we never had that pace in the central position. He's got pace and power. So all of a sudden, it looks like we're a very difficult defence to beat when you've got him and Botman. He's got all the athletic traits that we've needed, particularly the last 2 seasons. So for me, him being there elevates us in that position.
Jeff, do you not think that actually Chow is covering for Botman? He's actually he's cut. Yeah, Botman sometimes can be a bit iffy, but Chow's always there. He's always there, and he's as fast as a whippet as well when he wants to be.
I can't wait to see the 3 young defenders together. Sorry, the 4 young defenders together.
Will we see it, Boki?
Super chat incoming. What Warren's saying. But, he said, I just want to pick you up, Win. He says you couldn't pick Win up. He's solid, man.
Yeah, his shoes are nailed to the floor, mate.
I think when we've got somebody like Paul or Tino back at left back, you'll see a difference in Botman. In that Botman's having to cover across. There's a little bit of an issue because there's a little bit. No, this isn't slagging anybody off. There is a little bit of an issue.
Every time.
It's not. But there is a little bit of an issue that the natural position of the left back is as a left centre back, which is his best position, and he's great there. Can't blame that. But I think it sometimes puts Botman off a little bit because Burns a little bit out of position because he's wanting to get back to where he would naturally be as the centre back.
Just 2 seconds here. Gary, have you got that by any chance? Have you got that Botman pass map to hand that was showed the other day?
From the weekend? I can do it. If you want to carry on, I can do it.
We're talking about defending.
We're talking about raving about defenders, and people have been raving about Botman and how he's brilliant at passing forward and da.
That's not what I'm picking up on is the point that there's a little bit that's a little bit lopsided at the minute. And whether you play Botman or you play Burnett at left centre back, there's no issue with that. If you've got a proper left back in place, I think either of them will look better in
balance.
But it's simply down to balance, exactly.
I've noticed now as well, Chow is just pinging balls through the midfield of the opposition up to like Murphy or Voltemada, whoever say, maybe it's even Bruno. But he's standing there and he just whoosh, it goes like a missile.
Mm-hmm.
So, have you noticed that, Jeff?
It beats the man. Because I noticed, when Toon Army first come into the side, his quick frequency of passing, just that, even if they get it for the 1-2, he hits it in the reverse direction, bang, and he's gone.
Chow is doing it now regularly. It's just like the 40-yard pass that just takes out the whole midfield of the opposition, He's class. He's up, and every game he just seems to shine and get better and better. I love watching him, and he's so skillful and quick with his feet as well. Have you noticed?
That's Botman's pass map.
There's Botman's pass map there, and as I've been saying for game after game after game, he only ever passes to Burn or to Trippier, square pass, near enough square pass, and the odd pass he's tried to get forward are the passes that he's missing. 24 out of 27, I think it was on Saturday.
But when does that not tell you something? Don't ask him to play balls forward. Tell him just to play it around the back four and give it to somebody better to play it forward.
No, all he's doing is shedding responsibility. So then he played Dan Burn or Trips into trouble So they've got to get out of it.
But don't you think that looks to me like he's probably been coached to play that? Because from what I remember as Van Botman pre-injury, he did.
That's Malik Thiaw's, by the way.
He used to do the left.
Exactly.
He used to do the left-footed drill, the opposite of Cher. He had the passing ability from the back. So I don't know if like the accumulated.
Well, if you go back to his go back to Botman's there for a sec, Gary, please.
Is that off Google Maps?
I don't know if the cumulative
And
knee injuries.
there's the ones he's tried to play forward from the back, where you're seeing, from the left, and both of those missed.
Yeah, but I think we have to, look at it in retrospect as well. That he has.
I've seen it with my eyes, and I've been fed up with people saying what a fantastic progressive passer of the ball Botman is.
Hang on, Gary, was that Burns stats there?
Yeah.
Keep that up. Can we put that one back up? How many balls forward has Burn lost?
How many has he got through?
No. How many has he lost there? Look, you're on about looking.
Yeah, but he's having to try them all because Botman
had lost 2. Burns lost how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
And what's he doing up there? And what's he doing up there as well?
Gary, have you got one for Chow?
He's playing left back.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he shouldn't be near the box when he's got no speed. How's he going to get back? We're having to keep covering him.
When you've asked
That's part of the plan.
You've asked for these to be put up. That proves that Botman's playing a lot better than Burn in regards to not losing the ball.
It doesn't prove anything of the sort. It proves Botman sheds responsibility.
And there's Kieran Trippier.
You see Botman with 50 yards of green grass in front of him, and he doesn't run into it. He just passes the ball to Trips on the
He's had
bird.
2 knee injuries, Wim. Maybe he hasn't got the power. Or maybe he's been told not to risk it anymore.
And he's a centre-back. You don't want him piling forward every time. You want him to play to players who are better on the ball.
I want any player who's got 30 yards or 40 yards of green grass in front of them to run into it and take the play forward.
Come on.
Why don't we ask the people in the chat? Why don't we ask the people in the chat, who do they think's better, Burn or Botman? Yeah? No sentiment, yeah? No sentiment, none of this local hero stuff. Footballing ability, yeah? Because when the boys come back, it should be Hall, Botman, Thiaw and Tino. That's our best defence. None of these old men, Burn, Cher, have to comfortably sit on the bench and be called upon when ready, in my opinion.
I think
6250 is saying Wynn's just having a hard time admitting that the time for players like Burn, Cher and Pope is coming to an end.
Yes, sir.
Get over it.
Oh, yes, sir.
No, I think
never going to happen.
Is Botman
until the time comes.
Botman get the ball.
Hold on 2 seconds. Geordie, I can't make because Chris has control of YouTube and all the polls are up on YouTube, mate. So we don't have control of YouTube. Sorry, my friend.
I think what we need to see is Botman get the ball, edge of his own penalty area, run through the midfield, be 3 or 4 players, right? Then cut inside, right? Go round the keeper and tap it into the net. And that's what we need to be seeing more regularly, Win.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
That's an interesting one. I'm going to say that's an interesting one.
Well, I've said to you, Borgie, be patient. Be patient.
Right, so...
Happy clap.
Your lot's hands must be chafing, innit? You've got red marks on them and everything.
Never.
Red raw.
Gary, you need to chuck over some E45 to him, man.
Oh,
absolutely.
Listen, at Jefferson, it means I don't have to put the heating on.
Hey!
That's why he's got his hat on. Yeah, I mean, it is an interesting one, though, mate. You know, when you look at it, and we have spoke about it. And here's my favourite saying. I've said it before. Let Eddie Howe make that decision because I think he'll bottle it when the lads are available.
In Eddie we trust.
Indeed.
Yeah.
What?
So,
okay. Did Gary just cuss Eddie?
Yeah, I think he did.
No, pinch me.
He said in Eddie we trust.
No.
Yes, Gary.
Gary didn't say that.
Yes, Gary.
I did say that.
Gary's from the dark side.
No, listen. I said this from the start when I said it's now up to Eddie to make a decision on whether you. And don't forget, Hall was on the bench at the time, and he still played Dan Burn at left back. And
See
yes,
what happened since Sunderland went second.
What's that? What's happened?
You'll be wearing a red and white top next show.
Why? Because
that's Pokey's job.
Let's not talk about that.
I'm going to say. No, I said Eddie Howe's got to make a decision, and he's got to be right for the club. And has he got the guts to drop one of his favourite players? And at the minute, he hasn't done it.
Eddie makes tough decisions every game.
Yeah, of course he does.
We just have to back him.
Well,
we just have to back him. He's the gaffer. Let's get behind him and back him.
But listen, I understand the sentiment behind it, right? I do understand that sentiment because it is a hard choice because you've got to try and keep a happy camp, right? But for me, if it's to the detriment of the result, then surely that you can't back him all the time. And hold on, Gaza, right? Okay. You're a supporter, I'm a supporter, right? So if my gaffers, which are Piff, the bosses in the boardroom, come up to you, as they have done to Eddie Howe under this guile, and said, results need to change, mate. Do you still back the gaffer there?
Hang on, results. He's won 3 out of his last flipping 5
recently, but not at the start. He
won the last 3.
Well, no,
he'd only won 2 out of 8 in the Premier League, mate. Before...
Well, how far do you want to go back? You won a cup last week.
Not last week.
He got win the Champions League last season. I mean, well,
but you see, we're forgetting. This guy's getting paid to get results, mate. Not to keep people happy in the scene.
And don't you think he's getting them?
But only recently. That's what I'm saying.
League.
Yeah, I know, mate. But we're only just getting them recently, and I questioned about why we aren't playing the same away from home.
You're basing the season on the game so far, when, as we all know, we came off the back of that horrendous Isaac saga, said the I word, in the summer, which completely derailed the window, which meant we were starting 4 or 5 weeks behind everybody else. And now we're gradually now learning to play with Voldemort and get used to playing with him up top instead of with the rat up top, which is going to take a lot of dough, and it's not going to happen overnight because we perfected the art of supplying the rat for 3 years.
Right now, let me just.
Can I just come in quickly on this, Gary? When you just said we're judging the season on the results so far. What the hell else are we meant to be judging on?
Well, wait a minute. Can I just
on the potential,
please?
Potential.
May I?
We've beaten 20th, 18th, and 17th. That is nothing to shout about.
If we'd have beaten Villa and would have beaten Liverpool, which we were very close to doing, without the centre forward, and in Liverpool's case with 10 men, would you still be feeling the same?
Then the results wouldn't be the same.
We would have got the results.
It's a results industry. That's what I keep saying. And listen, at the end of the day, I love Eddie Howe. I absolutely adore the lad for what he's done to Newcastle. The biggest thing for me is you've got to stop being loyal to certain individuals if you want the results to go in your favour.
Well, you've got to be loyal to your manager.
I'm not talking about my manager. I'm talking about managers.
He's talking about Eddie being loyal to too many
players. You know, there's times where you've got to start saying to them, the time has come. You know, and you've listen. I love what Dan Burn has given to us, but Dan Burn at left centre back is a totally different animal to Dan Burn at left back. So when the available,
let's catch up on a couple of super chats, please. Warren again saying Jefferson, there's no matter what being over the hill. Ask Win.
I am too on a Saturday morning.
However, he's also come back with Eddie Howe is irreplaceable, and I won't budge on that.
Warren,
he's a legend. He's a
Warren,
legend. No
it
one
is-
can take away what he's done, but I think he's getting very close to time up because there's a lack of evolution in the team, the way we play. No one could be happy with the way we're playing at the moment. It's not phenomenal football.
I'm very happy with the way we're playing.
I would love us to play like how Iraiola's team's playing, and they've spent less money. This is what I mean. Like, we're playing arguably the same patterns of play. We should be better. We should be better, and I think there is sentiment. I think the problem is the sentiment is infectious. So Eddie has sentiment for said players who's done well for him historically. His lieutenants on the pitch, your Popes, your Burns, and whatever. But you've got to be.
Pope's just gone now to the big lad, doesn't he?
Please, can I just go back, right, Gary?
Hold on, let Jeffo finish Gaza first because he's got a.
Sorry, I thought he'd finished. I apologise.
I think a lot of people are in the halfway house where you've got Eddie in, Eddie Howe, and sometimes you have Eddie Doubt. So the people in the middle, I think more people will support Eddie if he was more drastic and made changes and actually showed who's boss. Like, I'm not your friend, and I think that was the problem with England in the summer. Southgate had the same problem. He was so afraid to drop Foden, even though Palmer should have been playing. He was too loyal to his players, and that, unfortunately, is a sign of weakness. If you look at the top level managers, they have a level of ruthlessness, and I think that transmits to the fans. I think the fans have too much sentiment. I think Eddie has too much sentiment. For us to continue rising up, we have to start being ruthless now.
Well, Jefferson,
I think that's something that he needs to learn.
What you're saying, right? And I'm not looking for an argument, and I'm not trying to decry what you're saying or anything, but I'm going to pull in what Gary said earlier, right, about supporting a manager who's going to play Dan Burn at left back, right? I take the point, Gary, but who would you have played instead?
That's the thing. You haven't.
No.
He's forced. His hands are forced at the minute, aren't they?
Who would you have played instead?
But I've just said it. He's got the excuse at the minute because the only available player, and again, this is why I said to you earlier, for me, you're all talking about strikers.
Give us a name.
Are you not listening?
Gary, can I
understand the situation at this current moment in time, but when Lewis Hall was on the bench and available for selection, he still chose Dan Burn. Okay? And before the match, I said, and Wynn was my witness, I said, as Eddie Howe got the ability and the manpower to make the change, and he stuck to Dan Burn being left back.
But this is me jumping in defence of Eddie Howe, right? Because you right, and this isn't personal or anything like that. We're just having a chat. But when people, right, and you've just did it, say, oh, right, well, how can I back him if he's going to play Dan Burn at left back, blah, blah, blah. But give me a name of a player you would have put in there rather than him.
I've just told you, that's his get-out clause.
Said that he's saying when Lewis Hall was on the bench.
Gary M, can I come back on that? Eddie Howe was in charge of transfers this transfer window. He didn't bring in a left back, and he let left back that was cover go, who was Target. Now, I don't disagree with that whatsoever.
No, mate.
But you're saying, who would you put in? Surely enough, if you're letting a left back go, you bring another one in.
Fair point.
Well,
and that's why I said, should not.
Well, except that the situation then was that what we had was Lewis Hall, first choice left back, and 3 centre-halves, 4 centre-halves if you include Lascelles, 5 if you include Shea, one of which is perfectly adequate at left back.
Who?
Not at the top level. Not at the top level.
And as for you, Jeffo, why can't we?
2 years ago, maybe.
Why can't we play like the mighty Bournemouth are playing?
Because we don't. Because we've got
the mighty Bournemouth. The mighty Bournemouth.
Hold on, one at a time, guys. One at a time.
Who couldn't beat us at the home ground when we didn't have a striker? That mighty Bournemouth. Why can't we play like
they
that?
haven't spent as much as us, Win. We spent a lot of money.
Yeah, but
we spent a lot of money. So they shouldn't be beating us, but they still play better football than us. And I think the issue is when you're able to purchase players in the summer. Gary actually agreed with this. I'm sure you did, Gary. I hope I'm not fibbing here. But when you're looking at the profile of player, this summer was the perfect opportunity to evolve and change the way we play. We're still running. There's only so much you can do that. There's only so much you can say at halftime. Give me more energy, lads. Let's outrun them. We need some technical footballers, and we're really lacking that.
Jeff, do you think he's starting to change that though now? Because once again, because that man in the middle who's doing the flicks, putting the ball wide to the two wingers, and he's evolving a new approach to how we go forward. Because I think I've seen evidence of it in the last couple of matches where, because Voldemort is not a centre forward. And he never will be. He'll score goals, but he is not an out-and-out centre forward.
Can I just ask you guys while we're all together, right? And it's something I don't really... there's a point to it I agree with and a point to it I don't, right? With Trippier and Dan Burn, both as fullbacks, what you lose in momentum, and I've been really... I'll be honest with you. I've been really proud of what I've seen from Trippier, his output. Because even in the deep depths of the end of the games, he's been still the one that wants to get the ball, still run diagonals to get the corners. He's been phenomenal for a 34-year-old. But we do lack momentum sometimes from our fullbacks going forward, having both Dan Burn and Trippier on the field. We haven't got that spark of energy. We know Dan Burn hasn't got the pace, and that's not Dan Burn's fault. You're making it sound as though I am blaming Dan Burn for playing in a position that he isn't fantastic at. He does a job there for the team, and as the gaffer says, if I asked him to run through a wall, he would do. But there's going to be times where just having the commitment and the heart to do a job for you isn't going to get you results. So what Eddie Howe is actually saying to himself was, I don't mind getting the push because I want to be loyal to Dan Burn playing left back. And I think that is the wrong attitude to have. For me, as much as I hate it, I would have said, listen, let me try Trippier there. Trippier's played left back at England and put Crafty on, who does give you the output.
That would be the sensible choice, Gary.
And I don't agree with it. Because I wasn't over enamored by what I saw when Trippier was left back for England, if I'm honest with you. So what I'm saying to you is he had an option if he wanted to go with it. He didn't. He decided to stick with Dan Burn. But my concern is the fact that when Hall was available, he still chose Dan Burn over Hall. And I can't understand why.
Still got Voldemort to try at left back yet.
Gary, I think what we discovered after that particular incident, if you remember, Barry, was that we discovered that
it's all right, John.
Paul was not in fact fully fit.
No, you're right,
and he knew that.
But can I just
which nobody else did? Everybody assumed because he was on the bench, he must be fit.
But on Eddie, at that point as well, Gary, you're quite correct. But what we should have done was all these players are in the 30s. Surely enough, over the last few games, Dan Burns played, I don't know how many games this season, but quite a few.
He's played all of them apart from one.
Surely we should have rotated him out with Kraft at one point, and then trips out with Kraft at another point. And then if Wynn wants to play them two in this game in the Carling Cup, I keep calling it that, Carabao Cup, then that's an option. But because he's been so stubborn at keeping them two in that position for so long and not rotating the squad around with the player he's got who could do either position, he's not given that option for this game.
Bogey, do you think though that there might be?
I think he has given the option for that game.
Bogey, do you think there might be a little bit of though, as if it isn't broke, don't fix it, attached to that, rather than favouritism?
But Gary, why spend £240 million, 250, 60 million pound in the summer, and then not use your squad that you've got? That's the answer to that.
Because that's looking forward. That's speculative. But I'm just saying that if it's working, right, and sure and Burn were working great as a centre back pairing, right? So why would you change it if it's working well? It's making that choice. It's the timing of it, isn't it?
That's management, Gary. That's
But also
what a
as
Premier
well.
League manager should be doing,
But
and
do you think?
he should be able to change players, and they
But do you
should be doing it to use your squad to the full depth that you've got.
But
And
do you
we've
not
all
think?
said we've got a great squad now.
Do you not? Do you
Let's
not
use
think?
it.
Do you not think though that these decisions are actually kind of like forced upon you through circumstances, rather than you saying, right, this week I'm going to drop them two and I'm going to start with these two because they're the future. You don't do it like that.
But it's not about dropping players,
It
Gary.
evolves,
It's
doesn't
about using. It's about using your squad,
It's
using the players that you've got.
And
So
you don't think you have.
we don't have to see it as dropping a player.
You
It's
don't.
resting them,
But you don't think
bringing
he
a
has.
new player in for freshness for the team.
And you don't think he has.
No,
Yeah.
not.
No.
Yes,
But you think about it seriously though.
He's
Do you
played
think
Chow-
Fabian Schär?
played
Do you think
Chow and
Fabian
Brown.
Schär would have got back in the side if it wasn't for Botman's head injury?
No.
No, but I do think Eddie's been waiting for an excuse, though.
I mean, you know, it's like we said, you know, that we've all seen it where Eddie Howe likes to move dynamic movements on a field. You know, you get players that are playing on the right hand side, they'll move them over to the left hand side, even though they're doing really well on the right hand side, making an impact, and he'll completely change. Now, for me, you know, he made a simple move. He brought Shah on and he moved Chow to the left hand side. Made no impact on that team whatsoever. But if it had, who would have been at fault? Rather than
Super chats incoming. Would you swap Alanga for Anderson?
Hardly.
Because Anderson isn't a right winger. But
Would you swap Borky for another Blokey?
Warren, only if you were the other bloke coming on the chat. You come on, I'll quite happily drop out, mate.
I mean,
because there's only one bogey.
you see, the trouble is with everybody's opinion in the chat, and all very valid. It is an opinion. You know, we don't have to make these decisions, and that's why I said, you know, it is a hard job when you're coaching a team because there's 20 players. I've been there myself. You've got a squad of 20. You're trying to pick your best 11 on the day, and it has to be balanced. And that's what I said. You know, moving certain players around, we have seen some frailties and some chinks in Eddie's armour when it comes to moving players around, because from having a balanced side, you actually unbalance the side from making several position movements.
So
And that's why I said.
Gary
Go on.
could have please happy clap just for 2 seconds. On the point of that, right, is because this is what I'm saying, is not every decision he makes is going to be right. Some are going to backfire. But what you have to do, right, is just be patient, support him, see where he's going, and let it go. Because it's going to come good.
I would disagree, Gary M, with your initial premise, which was what was started with, was will Eddie continue to favour certain players at the expense of his own job? That was more or less what you said. Will he, you know, be loyal sufficiently to get himself?
I don't think he will.
Well, wait a minute, Gary. Hold on. Oh, that's. Sorry, I said Gary M. I meant Gary T. I can't even get your surname right now, Barry.
It's all right, Dennis.
Okay, Lynn.
And do you seriously think that Eddie is not intelligent enough to realise that he would be doing that? Eddie makes the decisions he makes because he thinks that they're right for to get the results that are required. I just cannot think for 1 second that he is being loyal in the full knowledge that his loyalty is going to sufficiently backfire that that we start losing games and thereby he loses his job.
That would be stupidity.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
And I've just said that.
You back to a point from last season, though, when if it's true, and you were one of the ones that picked up on this win, that Eddie was saying to Wilson, I can't play you because if I drop Isaac, the fans will just be on me back. So he has showed frailties. If that's a true story, which you report,
allegedly,
if that's a true story,
no, that's straight from Callum Wilson. Gary.
So in which case is Eddie scared to change the team in case the crowd get on his back? And if that is, then that's poor management, and you need a better manager to come in who's willing to change the team and take the flak if things go wrong.
Yeah. But hang on. I think you're talking about a very specific. I think you're absolutely right what you were saying there, by the way. But I think you're talking there about a very specific circumstance where the crowd, by and large, probably rightly, were fed up with having played, given Wilson chance after chance after chance after chance to get fit again, and him not having produced the goods, especially the last few occasions that he had come on as a sub and not really done much. So those were one very specific set of circumstances where you could argue that Eddie maybe let the force of public opinion change his mind, go down a different route.
Was Eddie doing what was best for Newcastle in that case? Or was he doing what was best for Eddie Howe?
We've seen.
See, on my shirt here, it's got Newcastle. It doesn't say Eddie Howe, and that's what I'm saying.
Exactly.
For me, I support. I know you can go change your shirt if you want to. No one player in Newcastle I will bare my head to. I will support. I'll give all my praise when required, but I'll also criticise when required because that's what we pay money to see. I want to be entertained by Newcastle. I don't want to look into my crystal ball and say, "Oh, next year they'll be better."
The guy's got us into the Champions League, right, twice. He's won us silverware, right? And he's probably going to get us in the Champions League again this season and possibly win us another cup this season. Why did you give him such a hard time over one or two decisions?
Gary, he spent £650 million, I believe. He spent a lot of money.
And look where we are. We're in a fantastic position.
I know, right? But the funny thing is we could be even better. That's the craziest thing.
I know, but Jefferson.
Listen, that's subjective.
I can't go with enough is never enough.
Yeah, it is subjective,
but
though.
This is the
whichever way you look at it.
Modern day. This is football today. It's relentless. It's a business. It's not, team and all that. And,
you'd rather save the money and fight relegation?
Well, I mean, we've lived that. We've been there.
You're on about it. First of all, you keep on bringing up this 250 million and 650 million. When you compare that to the teams that we are allegedly now competing with, it's peanuts. Especially when you consider the base we started from. You're talking about 250 million pound this window. But what you're failing to say is that we lost a £120 million player. So we effectively spent £140 million.
The sentiment has killed us at times because
it's killed us that much that we've been in the Champions League twice and won our first silverware.
He's had 3 opportunities to sell Trippier for good money. I remember there was a Turkish team that offered 15 million for Lascelles, and then Lascelles goes and does his knee. Why have you kept Lascelles? We could go on and on and on. There's been numerous occasions. He didn't sell Miggy in the first instance. Then by the time he went to sell him, his value was so low we could hardly get a fee. He had a couple of opportunities to sell Wilson. So the sentiment has killed us in certain ways.
Hasn't
So
killed us at
there's no
all.
excuse about we don't have money. We know that you have to sell to buy.
So-
And he wanted to keep certain players. Even when you've looked at players like Dubravka, where actually it looked like the team was evolving a little bit. They started to get confident playing the ball out the back. He drops him and puts Pope in. Why? And Pope was getting beat to his left all the time. So this is the point Gary's trying to make. He has to show some resolve and say, "Sorry, guys, I'm the boss, and I'm going with this." Rather than, "Oh, mate, all right, I'll get you in there." Because the only time I've ever seen him stand firm was with Gordon, when he persisted with Barnes. But I think he knew he had no choice because Barnes was scoring goals. So if he dropped him, it would have looked so biased. So again, the top level managers rarely do this. I'm talking the top level managers. Pep might have his favourites. Probably the only one he's admitted to is Rodri, really. But who can blame him? Rodri was probably one of the best defensive midfielders in the world. But even Pep, if you look at it, they don't really have favourites. You know, we got to snap out of this, guys.
Do you think, though, that do you really, really, truly believe he does have favourites?
Yeah,
Or
Cher, Burn.
Do you think that people, because of necessity, he has to make decisions, and then people twist it into favouritism rather than him saying, "Well, I've got to go with this because I know it works." I mean,
Gary, this has gone on since he came here.
But I think that's it, isn't it?
Exactly, and that's my point. It's gone on since he came here, and it's been very, very successful.
We've
how
been
was
We hit a
in the
plateau win.
Champions League twice, and we've won a cup. And are you going to still feel the same way when we win the FA Cup this season?
We ain't winning it, man.
again, and we get in the semi-finals of the Champions League. Are you still going to turn around and say that?
I will happily eat my words, but as we sit,
You will be. You'll be eating
Yes,
them because
as we sit
we've got our first
Definitely.
three of a 12-game winning run,
That's the thing. The runs
which
as well.
will
That's
rocket
the
us up
one.
to the top of the top.
Cavalry's coming. We're going to improve when the injured players come back, and don't worry, we're going to go on a run. Do you know how?
Don't worry. That's
Do you know
that's
how
the key.
taxing that would have been for
One
the
at a time.
players to kind of mentally and physically put in that energy to catch up because we were so poor at the start of the season. That sort of stuff is stuff of miracles. You can't. It's not. What's the word? Sustainable. You can't do that every season. Be like, don't worry, we'll just win 12 games in a row or be unbeaten for 20 games. You know, we can't expect that kind of thing. What we want is a little bit of consistency where you're kind of getting 2 points a game.
No.
You know,
We need more happy
What we don't want is constant negativity.
Jeff, as the problem is, Win and Gary moan sit and watch Mighty Ducks every week before they come on the channel, so they see it all. And it just gets them into that mentality that you can't.
we all fly.
What Warren
together.
saying, as the name suggests, Jefferson came on a starship.
Oh, what can I say? I'm out of this world, Harry. I'm out of this world.
I need to, Jefferson. You need to tell me your address, so because when you eat your words,
Did we do this one, Win?
We didn't know, sorry.
Those
Harmony
potato
is
Gary.
key.
Gary.
I want to be the man that's feeding them.
Gary, you can send me
Yeah.
those potato
Open
alphabets.
wide, Jefferson, open wide.
You can send me those potato alphabets in an envelope.
Oh, you guys are hilarious. I mean, listen, you know, this is what I love about football. Is the fact that you can have the debate, you can have a discussion, and listen. You know, there is one man at the helm that we all support and continue to support. That's why we pay the money. But the beauty of it is you've all got an opinion. Whether you like it or lump it, it is what it is. Somebody's just sent me this one to show you because I don't know whether you've seen this. Have you seen the Jamie Carragher reports on your beloved? There you go.
I didn't know.
Jamie Carragher named one Newcastle United player he believes is actually overrated. Dan Burn.
It's overrated.
Yeah, totally overrated.
Yeah, but he just talks poop. So why would you even listen to him?
Yeah, I think
I absolutely hate Carragher, but
with a passion.
yeah, with a passion. But
No,
it
listen,
does make sense on this point.
stop even talking about him and change the subject and move on.
Listen, boys, we're coming towards the end of the show, so I want to leave you, if I may, with a couple of pointers because I'm sure.
Oh, I thought you were going to say a song.
Oh, that's wins. There's only one song coming from Win, but that will come from Win because I've got a voice that'll sing ships.
Clappy, clappy, clappy.
You'll never ever be Dan Burn. He's from Blythe.
There you go. So I'm going to leave you with these. This is going to test your I suppose, going to test both sides of the coin for the next one. If you were Eddie Howe, would you go all for the cup? Or would you prioritise top six? That's the first one I want you to think about. Has Eddie Howe hit his ceiling with his squad, or is he still building for something special? Third one, who's been Newcastle's most important player under Howe? Bruno, Isaac, to name a few. Do Newcastle need a tactical refresh, a change in the backroom staff perhaps, to give Eddie Howe a little bit more influence going forward? Or is it all just down to injuries and fatigue?
How much time have we got to answer these?
Is Eddie Howe under any real pressure this season? Or is it all just media noise? Keep that in your mindset for the next one, because that is tonight's show over and done with. Thank you ever so much to the Mighty Win, Bokey, Gary Morn, and Jeffo.
Sorry, I won't sleep tonight now thinking about that.
I wanted to get into that now.
Yeah, I want you to keep them all on board because when we come back on the next show, that'll be your point of call. So please join us again on the next one. This has been Talk TV with me, the Geordie Yam Yam, the Mighty Win, Bokey, Gary Morn, and Jefferson from the 90s.
Happy, clappy talk.
Happy, clappy talk. And before we go, I just wanted to shout out a massive to the Geordie Boot Boys, whose ticker tape goes on all the time at the back. So well done, and thank you ever so much for that, because like I say, it all highlights all the up and coming news. And now there's a lot of people out there that don't like ticker tape, but it certainly does us something that keeps us going. So
thank
again,
you to
thank you
all
for
our
all of them. Yeah, go for
super
it.
chatters, Michael McIntyre, Warren, multiple times as usual. Thank you very much. Tony T in the Revenge of the Crumpets. Sheila's there with a big double handful for.
I just want to say I love you all, and even the ones that say nasty things about us.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
We've got Ian Fleming, thank you.
Guys.
Warren.
Yeah.
Warren. Thank you very much, Warren, as usual.
Yeah, thank you ever so much. And also, I think you put that one up, didn't you? Because Geordie Dan was, I think it was 15 months membership. So thanks, Geordie Dan, as well.
All right, I didn't notice that one yet.
Yeah, I think
Thank you, Geordie Dan.
He was shouting out for YouTube to say that
I couldn't find the unsubscribe button.
I love it. Until the next one, ladies and gentlemen.
How are the lads?
Where the lads?
Lassies and bands. Take care, all. Have a lovely evening.
Ciao,
What's the rest
ciao.
of it?
Peace.
Ta-da.